Hello. Hello, hello, hello. Right, I am live. Sorry for coming in so late. I can explain. Oh my god. Trying to fix my camera. Okay, I can explain. I was watching the Beyonce experience, which we will talk about. But yeah, today I was planning on putting on makeup, but I just got really exhausted and fatigued. I don't know really what's going on with me mentally. I'm just like, I feel stuck because I don't know where I'm gonna be unemployed in exactly after this week, like 2 weeks. So in the next 3 weeks, I'm probably gonna be unemployed, and I gotta find a job, and that's gonna take some time. So that's always not fun for me, but it's not like it's just a part of life and a part of the industry I'm in. I'm just trying to figure out how many jobs I need to keep or need to do in order to maintain some sort of stability. So it's been stressing me out, and I've been like really unmotivated to do a lot of things. I was watching a video by, she used to go by the alias Skullfuck, but now she goes by a different alias name. Let's see what that alias name is. I'm gonna pull it up right now. So they don't go by that name anymore. I'm trying to figure out what their name is, but they used to go by the name Skullfuck. And they used to spell it like super clever and all of that. And then I think they ended their channel. Okay, so now they go by the name Skull. So let me change my screen. Okay, so I think this is their main channel. I think maybe, I don't know, but I've been watching them for a minute, and they have another YouTube channel that they've made. And I don't know, I like them. They made another YouTube channel of them just like talking about life, and they made a video talking about social media and our phones, and how our phones are really like impacting how we go about in the world, and how we have these social media addictions, and they more or less are impacting how we I don't know, create and think and feel. And I honestly had to agree with her. I might do a reaction video to it because it's like really short. It's only like a few minutes long. The last reaction video I did last week was very long. It was like a whole 30 minutes, and it ended up taking like 3 hours, and I wasn't expecting that. And so by the time I was done, it was like 1 a.m. on a Monday morning. I had work the next day, and I was just like, all right, I'm gonna hang it up here. And so all the things I wanted to talk about, I eventually was not able to. So that was a bit annoying, and I don't know, I just feel like the more I bed rot and look at my phone, the more distracted I become, the more there are just like so many feelings going on at once that I'm being forced to feel because I'm on the algorithm, because the algorithm keeps feeding me videos constantly. So on one end I'll be like super happy and I'll laugh because there's like a meme that I find is funny, or there's like this funny slapstick video, and then on the other end and then I swipe, and then there's like a video about a makeup tutorial or like a new look or a new style that I'm genuinely interested in, and I'm like, man, I wish I could dress that way, or man, I wish I could wear that type of makeup, but I'm really not able to. What's going on? Why can't I afford to do this type of stuff? And then the next video is like, oh, by the way, alligator Alcatraz is a thing, and Trump just made the first official concentration camp on American soil. So that's something you should keep in mind about. And then I'll scroll again, and there'll be people ranting about alligator Alcatraz. I'll scroll again, and it'll be like, people are getting swiped off the street by ICE, and they are doing a whole lot of racial profiling and a whole lot less of like verifying whether or not these people are in our country illegally. But to be fair, so like, just a disclaimer, okay, I'm not anti-illegal, I'm not anti-immigrants, and I'm not anti-illegal immigrant, okay? I'm very like pro, like, come to our country, seek refuge, it's fine. I feel like the immigrants that MAGA people want us to worry about are the immigrants that aren't even like Mexican. I feel like they're like, I don't know, like from the north or whatever. Like I was watching a video that said that 2/3, like over half of the immigrants that have came to America illegally were from Ukraine. So a lot of them aren't even like brown, Mexican, Caribbean, people that look visibly foreign. You know what I mean? And the reason why a lot of folks are coming to Ukraine are because of the war in Russia. So with Ukraine and Russia. So I don't know. It's just like so many emotions, especially on TikTok all at once. That's very hard for me to just kind of take a minute and regulate. And I'm getting to the point where I'm just addicted to it. And I don't think there's any shame in me thinking that way. But the addiction has gotten out of hand. There have been times where I had to delete the whole entire app because I would just doom scroll constantly. And so I think the plan is, now that I can put TikTok on my computer, I might have to delete it again because it's once again getting very out of hand, and I can just upload my videos from my computer onto TikTok. I also I do want to go live on TikTok one of these days, like do like a get ready with me before I stream. So I want to try that, but I just don't want to be on that app as much. It's very informative. It gives a lot of insight, but it's just like a lot of information at once, overloaded, a lot of things that I have to worry about, that I have to be concerned for. So yeah. And I think it's especially dangerous that like parents are giving their children phones and electronic devices at a very young age, an age where they don't really understand how the internet and social media works. And so they give them a phone when they're like 3 or 2, and they have them scroll on it, and they have them look at like Cocomelon and stuff like that. And sometimes if they're not monitoring, they might like, it might look like a kid show, but in actuality it's like YouTube poop for younger kids. I'm talking about like those, you know, Spider-Man, Elsa videos that would come out. And so you're giving your kid this iPad, or you're giving your kid this iPhone, and you're having them sit in front of it all day. And then you take the iPhone away, and then they have like a whole crash out. And so you give it back to them so they'll behave. And then the older that they get, like in high school, you have incidences where kids are literally about to beat up a whole ass teacher, like body like a whole ass teacher, because they don't have access to their phone. Because their teacher is like, okay, give me your phone, you gotta focus, or get off your phone, you gotta focus. Like they're crashing out. Like that's not good. Like that needs to be studied. Yeah, I'm worried. I also believe that Fort Harriet did a very good video. I think it was a live, talking about the whistleblower of Facebook and how like big tech companies basically know and are aware of the dangers of social media and the dangers and impacts it has on people, young people, how the whole algorithm is set up and targets young girls by tapping into their insecurity and then giving them solutions on how they can do better for themselves or be better based off of the insecurities that they have. Like, it's just a mess. It's just a mess. And what's sad is that 10 years ago in like 2015, the internet wasn't this bleak. It wasn't this negative. It wasn't so privatized. People weren't like so angry all the time or seemingly angry. Now everybody's angry. Everybody's pissed. Sometimes I wonder if we're all just arguing with robots. Like, if we're literally just arguing with bots all the time. And so you're over here going back and forth with AI chatbot 97 about why you think that Gracie Abrams is the best thing since sliced bread, or how you think that Alligator Alcatraz is like a new age Auschwitz. And it's like you're arguing with literal like bots. And I also wonder why, if that has like impacted or skewed the way people think about certain things and like egged on people to just be actively loud and wrong on the internet. Like, I wonder, for every flat earther that is out there, was there a creator, or was there like a set of like bots underneath their comments that was like, you know what, you're right, actually the earth is probably flat, I'm gonna gas you up. And they were like, thanks. And then they just kept doing it and kept going for it and kept talking about how the earth was flat. You know what I mean? Who is sending me Discord links on Twitch? I'm cross streaming again, so someone sent me a Discord link on Twitch, and I don't know what I'm gonna do with that. I don't know if I'm gonna take it or not. But yeah, social media is just like a mess right now. Like, I've always said this, but is always some good that comes out of advanced technology. And I think the one good thing about social media is that it has created a new career for people. People don't have to be stuck to their 9-to-5s if they don't want to. It makes it easier to start entrepreneurship or spread awareness about your business or do marketing for your business. But where it like flops horrendously is its constant need to have people in the algorithm, interacting with folks. So yeah, it's just a lot. So with that in mind, I don't know how I'm going to start this video. I don't know if I'm going to, start with a musty deck that I put together last minute. I don't know if I want to start with some gaming because I didn't get to game last stream. Whether that's like with Marvel Rivals or Infinity Nikki, I don't know. But we're gonna figure it out. I'd also like to make a side note, as a disclaimer. So before I make this announcement, I just want to remind everybody that my channel is rated B for bad bitches, okay? And so that means that anything I talk about, anything that I pull up, anything that I discuss, it's for adult women. It's for adult women primarily. It's for adults, okay? You know what I mean? So like, if you're like 15 watching me, stop. Like, wait a couple years and come back, because some of the things I talk about are like incredibly inappropriate, and with all due respect, you don't know anything about that yet, okay? So with that in mind, I'd just like to let y'all know that Cornhub has been banned. Cornhub has been banned, and replace corn, the C from corn, with P, and you know what I'm talking about, which is crazy. I never thought we would get to this point where, you know, a site like that would be banned, or a site like that would require you to enter in your ID information before going on there and you know, enjoying yourself, if you will, enjoying the activities of a corn hub site, right? And so when I realized this, I was like, dang, really? And then I think this is also, honestly, oh shit, no, I don't like how they chase me. I think this is also an indicator that we are in some really crazy times. Like, the times that we are in are like we should be very worried. We should be very afraid. Okay. Because I was always under the impression that America was an advocate for free speech, freedom, free country, all of that stuff. And when you have stuff like that getting blocked, it's like, okay, shit's about to get real. You know what I mean? Mind you, I don't watch a lot. Oh my God. Okay, you see this? There's so many of them. Holy okay. Let me get ready. It's not that hard, but it was just like so many of them out of nowhere. It's like, what the, like, Jesus Christ. Oh, they have... Okay, so they have shields? Jesus. Okay, let me just... I guess this is how I get stronger, is I just keep beating up monsters. There we go. Okay. Because I do have to go up against, like, that head honcho battle guy. But anyway, yeah, we're in troubled times. Between that and okay, what is this? Between that and the alligator Auschwitz that's in Florida, in the Everglades, we are going through it right now, y'all. We are... Mark of Life, a sketch etched into a stone tablet. Escape. Okay. Okay, why would I want a ripped shirt, though? You see this? Why would I want a ripped shirt? I don't even want to build it, but do I have enough materials? I have more than enough thread. I gotta get a tricky patch. Can be used to craft clothes or items. A patch obtained by purifying a spear sack. Lower your thorns and see everything in a different light. Bitey fabric. Bag. Okay. All right, sure. Yeah, but I'm not really like a corn hub connoisseur, you know what I mean? But I feel like this is a test to see how people just react to like, I don't know, internet censorship. And I think it starts with Cornhub, and I think they do it in a way where they disguise it as, well, people have a corn addiction anyway, so this is better for all of us, you know. And then they start censoring corn, which kind of makes sense. People do have corn addictions. And then they start censoring like other things as well that they don't want the masses to know about, you know what I mean? So I don't know, it's a little worrisome. By the way, since we're on the topic of corn, not a lot of y'all know this, but how to smash, I gotta learn how to smash the boxes on Infinity Nikki. So 1 second. How to smash boxes in Infinity Nikki. I'm looking it up. I keep forgetting. Shows you how much of a gamer girl I am. Okay, you press Q, so up and Q. Okay, there we go. Nice. All right. So speaking of corn, I used to be a spicy creator, right? And something that I've always noticed about like spicy creators, especially the women who do spicy creating, like they always are villainized, almost always, just 100%. You'll never catch me out here like slut shaming or shitting on or insulting spicy workers. And I've said this before, but I do genuinely feel like there is an intersectionality between spicy creators who do it because out of survival, because they have to, spicy creators who do it because of the money, and spicy creators who do it because they genuinely enjoy what they do. I feel like there is an intersection for all those things, and it's not talked about enough. And I think the reason why is because a lot, like the average person I've noticed does not like nuance. They never like nuance. Everything always has to be black or white. There's no shades of gray. And I also think, to follow up with social media and how it's high-key rotting our brains, I think a lot of that has to... Can I jump on this? No? So how am I gonna get over there? And I think a lot of that has to do with okay, cool. Okay, here we go. Nice. Wait, why is it flying? I think a lot of it has to do with us being on social media a lot, and the algorithm just constantly feeding us stuff to fuel our emotions instead of things to have us think critically about. So it's a lot easier to like rant and rave about how spicy content. Oh no! What? Okay, girl, let me focus. How am I supposed to find that? Where'd it go? I don't even know where it went. Okay, so I don't know where it went. It's a lot easier to get people angry or feel empowered about the idea of swipe work or spicy content work, right? It's a lot easier to do that than it is to have like a genuine conversation of how it benefits people, how it has disadvantages, how it has its advantages, right? The reason why I stopped is because of mental health reasons that I went through myself. And I honestly do not see myself really doing it again because of that reason. But I also have stability, well, not right now, but I have stability in like finding like a job that pays well enough. But it's still like, I tell you, when I first got laid off, that shit was awful. I was cussing myself out mad that I quit, but like I knew I did it for my mental health, and I were to get back into it, it would be like exhausting for me all over again. Now with that in mind, I feel like people, especially now with like this more conservative push that's going on, with more of a push to traditional families and traditional I can't, no, I gotta hit F, not the net, and trad wives, and wanting to bring back femininity in lieu of feminism. I do think a lot of people have just taken to villainize sex work as a part of like anti sexual liberation and anti fourth wave feminism and all of that, right? And unfortunately it doesn't offer a lot of space for us to really just delve deep into like why people do the way things that they do, whether it's survival, whether it's out of survival, whether they genuinely enjoy it, what it actually looks like to do swipe work just for the sheer enjoyment of it and not so much to get a paycheck, or even like the exploitative nature of swipe work. You know what I mean? I feel like it's just like, let's just villainize it and it's a problem and it's bad. And I think with anything there's just so much nuance. But I also noticed with swipe work specifically, especially when it comes to a woman, there's a lot of like hatred towards that type of content. And I feel like if you're looking at it from the lens of it is an addiction, Ooh, look at me exploring in the flowers. Look at me frolicking in the flowers while I talk to you guys about swipe work. Oh my god. I wonder if I should put up like a restriction on this video. Anyway, so one of the things I've noticed about swipe work and people in general is that if this is seen as like an addictive tendency, right? Like someone with a porn addiction has a problem, like they're spending literally all of their money, their life savings, or maybe the family bank account on their favorite swiper, Big Boobies 97, right? Okay, so we always tend to villainize the women. We never try to even talk about the guys who are involved in it, even though some people, when they try to make the point that swipe work is bad solely and it's just not good at all, like they'll mention casually, oh, and when men do it too, that shit is weird, you know? But like really, what they're trying to get at is like, but we don't like it when women do it, right? But also something that I've noticed is that a lot of people, how do I get up here? I guess I have to climb over to these rocks. Is that a lot of people villainize it when it solely has to do with women, and they don't really see it in the same lens as any other addiction. So for example, a good example of this is like a chain smoker smokes a lot of cigarettes, but you're never going to see anybody like boycott a gas station or a vape store for selling cigarettes or nicotine-based products. An alcoholic is going to buy a lot of alcohol, but you'll never see people like boycott, you know, alcohol or package stores. You know what I mean? A gambler might stay at a casino for way too long, but you'll never see them. Okay, where am I? Where do I gotta go? Okay, V. Okay, the star is over there. Okay, I have to chase the flying star. All right, but you'll never see people like stand outside of a package store and there is somebody over here and boycott the store. Like, you'll never see that. Hello. I don't want to invite you though. But when it comes to like swiping, what I've noticed is that everybody has so much to say and everyone has such a strong and visceral opinion. Hi Cole, how are you? It's such a strong visceral opinion about like women swipers, specifically women swipers, and how it is the sole responsibility of the swiper to placate the addiction of a bunch of like horny lonely men. And so with any other addiction, say, someone has an alcohol problem, a DRUG problem, a nicotine addiction, with any other addiction out there, we always put the blame or the accountability on the person with the addiction. If Family Man John is a raging alcoholic, we're not going to boycott the package store. We're going to tell Family Man John, you're a raging alcoholic, maybe in a form of an intervention, and we're going to be like, hey man, lay off the beer. It's affecting your family life. You're becoming more volatile, violent. You're getting into savings and funds. Like, you need to cut it out. Or like you're gonna do that with Family Man John, right? But if Family Man John has a corn addiction and is following his favorite OF girl, immediate blame to the girl. Immediate, well, why are you breaking up a home and a family? You see how women in these relationships who are impacted from dudes who have blatant corn addictions, who don't know how to keep that shit in control, they will message angrily the OF girl, be like, hey, can you like block him because he's like obsessed with you and it's ruining our relationship. And OF girls have came out and said like, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to block him. Like, you need to leave him if it's that bad, girl. And honestly, as they should. Like, high key, as they should, because if it's that bad to the point where he can't function, which I've seen stories and I've heard stories of men who literally cannot function unless they get like their OF girl fix or their IG baddie fix or have to watch porn, then I don't think that's like a partner for you to be with. But like, we never look to the dude and be like, bro, how did you let it get this bad? How did you let it get this bad? We also never look to these tech companies like Twitter. I will never call it X. You'll never see me out here calling it X, right? And we never say, hey, don't you think y'all should be regulating how much access people have to porn? Don't you think it's a little weird that like with a couple of clicks away, it's so easy for anybody to see like the booty hole of an OF model? Like, don't you think that's weird? Oh shit. Like, do you not see how odd that is or unusual that is for us? That it's so easy, it is so freaking easy to get access to not safe for work content on Twitter. And should that be more of a blame on the tech companies that keep fueling this content to keep people on the algorithm? Then oh my god, there's no way I'm getting that. Than it is on like actual. Oh my god, do you see this? Do you see? Oh no, there's no way in hell. Like, look at me floating. Okay, let me just. No. Like, there's no way I'm getting that. They're asking for way too much. Oh, I see some monsters over there, so I might, like, get them. Oh, Jesus. There was no way I was gonna get that. Alright, let me go to the monsters and kill those. But, like I said, there's never accountability on, like, the actual guy that is engaged with this stuff. It's always just the accountability on the woman. And I always find that interesting. Because I think we can, like, in the same way that we hold the person accountable for any other addiction that they might have, I think we should do the same when it comes to, like, Smex addiction and porn and all that, you know? And I think before we sit up here and blame models for, like, seeing that there is a supply or demand to us and they have the supply, we should be like, well, why is it so easy for these companies to just like Twitter to just post stuff like this and not filter it out, you know what I mean? So I don't know, that's my opinion, because then you get into weird dicey conversations where, I mean, I've said it before, like women empowerment spaces where, not feminist spaces, where they will shame swipers and shame people who want to do anything swipe adjacent in the name of pandering to the male gaze, instead of like unpacking the why behind people doing the swipe activities. So that's my rant on that. Completely irrelevant to what I'm talking about. But what I'm going to be talking about today, but yeah, I don't know, dude. I don't know. I just had to get that off of my chest. It's raining. My outfit is gonna be ruined. Maybe not. Oh, what are these? Oh my god, it's the lamp chilies. I want all of them. They're just on a vine, and I can get all of them. Yay. Okay, cool. I'm going back to your comment. The drinking culture in the West is so severe. So I don't know where you're from. I think Heaven is from the UK. Cole, I'm not sure where you're from. You're from Alabama, right? I don't want to dox you. Okay, anyway. But the drink, you know, honestly, drinking is not good for you. Drinking can cause ass cancer. And by ass cancer, I mean colon cancer. It's not the greatest for you. I find myself drinking more when I'm stressed. But like for example, on stream, like I wouldn't, like for now, I don't think I could do that. It's just a lot. And then I used to be like really active, so me drinking, just like drinking frequently, just did not mix with my active lifestyle, so I didn't drink as frequent. Even when I would go out and it would be like a rough night partying, you know. Is that? I don't know what that is. You know, I would go to the gym the next day and I would be just destroyed. I would be exhausted. I would be like, okay, like this wasn't a good idea. Like, I am tired. You know what I mean? So, I don't know. Plus, it's just expensive. But, yeah, I feel like people's alcohol addictions start when they're in college. You know what I mean? Because, like, college... Damn. No, I don't know how to collect those. College has such a strong culture of drinking and partying and partying and drinking, and I don't know, that's not safe, man. There's a Whimstar? Really? You know? And also, wine makes me gassy. Like, red wine makes me gassy. I don't think white wine makes me gassy, so... There's a Whimstar around here. Okay, where is it? Is it the same Whimstar that I purposefully did not go back to because I was just like, it's too hard. Let's go find that Whimstar. I kind of want to go back to Civilization though. I'm too far out. Oh, since we're talking about swipe work, I just want to briefly cover Smexual Liberation, because I feel like Smexual Liberation flopped. Fill in the lens of what I'm trying to say. Smexual Liberation flopped in like the 2010s, the mid to late 2010s, because it kept the male gaze in mind first, and then like the actual intention behind the liberation of how to feel liberated sexually as a person second, especially with women. And so again, going back to like, there's more push for conservatism, for femininity over feminism, and one of the branches of feminism, I believe, was like little subcultures like body positivity, fat positivity, and sexual liberation, or choice feminism, I guess. And so where I think sexual liberation failed, like I'm thinking about like Amber Rose's Slut Walk in what is this? Amber Rose's Slut Walk in like the mid 2010s, before she sold her soul to MAGA. Oh. Okay. What? Okay. Why? No. Okay, I gotta finish my thoughts, but I also really want to get this star. Why is it so hard to get it? Where is it? Okay, can I just... Okay, anyway, when Amber Rose did her Slut Walk in the 2010s, and I remember having like such an issue with it. Yay, got it. I remember having such an issue with it because it really didn't unpack why she identified so much with being a slut. Like, she was just like, being a slut is awesome, and I love being a slut, and it's great. And, you know, like, I can, you know, say I don't want to sleep with you after, you know, spending the night with you and getting naked, and that's fine. But it really didn't provide like a lot of nuance outside of that. And I think that is what the sexual liberation, in my opinion, required, is more nuance outside of me putting on sexy clothes and wanting to sleep around with a lot of men is sexually liberating by default. You know, like, because it's so much more than that, and it can be seen in so many different ways. And I think that the movement kind of flopped in that regard, if that makes any sense. And so, and again, that goes into, okay, yay. And so that goes again into like nuance, you know, and like understanding of like, okay, so what about your sexuality makes you feel liberating? And does it always have to be under another person? Or are there other things that you can do? I also think this ties into like a lot of female rap, like hot girl female rap. A lot of women rap and hot girl women rap, in that there are some women rappers that talk about their kitty cat, and you can tell that it's authentically like that's really how they feel about their kitty cat. And then there's some women rappers who talk about their kitty cat, and it's like, okay, did Partisan Fontaine write this? Did you write this? Which ghostwriter was in your camp that wrote this and told you that your pussy was like holy water? You know what I mean? I say that line because for a minute I noticed that every new like lady rapper that was out was saying, my kitty is like holy water. It's like holy water. It's blessed. You need to bless it. You know, come over here and get blessed. And it was like 4 or 5 rap girlies who were saying that. And so at one point I was like, okay, so who's in your camp writing this for you? And is this how you actually feel? And is there something to be said about having you know, like guy ghostwriters write these sexually explicit lyrics for women rappers to perform, but then have not much else to say about their sexuality outside of buy me a Birkin and my kitty's like holy water and WAP. You know what I mean? And I also think that does tie into the, you know, the concept of sexual liberation being like watered down for women to wearing sexy clothes and, you know, smashing a bunch of dudes. And I don't know, I always looked at it as what's truly sexually liberating is knowing what you like as a woman, right? And then if you do have a rotation, like the rotation you have is like meaningful, there's communication, you're not messing with dudes that aren't worth your time, that are wasting your time. Like you're just, oh no, like you're just out here you know, with SMEX partners that you can communicate. I'll run, I'll get out of the way, okay. So what am I supposed to do here? Okay, maybe I move it like over here. But yeah, as I was saying, I'll run, I'll get out of the way. Oh, that's weird. I don't know what happens when I push this. Okay, that's weird. I guess maybe I don't push it? Like, what was the point? Okay, whatever. As I was saying, if you're around a bunch of dudes that don't bring you joy, that don't make you happy, that don't even know where the clit is, then are you really sexually liberated? Probably not. But if you're around a bunch of people who do give you joy, who do know where the clit is, who know how to communicate with you, then like maybe you are sexually liberated. I don't know. But I don't know. I always thought about that. Ah. Oh no. I'm losing there's so many monsters over here. I don't want to be here. This is gonna make me stronger, but yeah, that's my take on sexuality and smacks. Girl, I was gone for 10 minutes. Oh no, Cole. I'm sorry. Well, welcome back. What is going on here? Oh, I gotta... Okay, cool. I'm sorry. Well, welcome back, Cole. We're just talking about smexy time stuff and sexual liberation. Oh, Cupcake. I like her. She's very vulgar with her raps and talks about smex, but it's very on brand for her, and it's pretty freaking genius. And I really like Cupcake. So that's an example of like a rapper who talks about a lot of smex, but like the smex they talk about is very on brand and true to that. You know what I mean? Get out, Momo. Shit. But then like, or you know, even like for a second Ice Spice did, because she'd always talk about poop all the time. Speaking of which, speaking of Ice Spice, is it safe for me to say that like that shouldn't have happened? I haven't tuned. Who can't find the Clint? What did I walk into? Who did? Cole, I was talking about sexual liberation, and it's to piggyback off of my conversation about how people villainize women sex workers before they actually, and try to hold them to accountable and try to bring them to task instead of actually bringing the people who have the addiction to sex workers and corn accountable and to task. So then I moved into sexual liberation because I feel like it was a good topic, and I talked about how you like the reason why sexual liberation flopped in the 2010s was because it was primarily meant for the enjoyment of the male gaze, and it lacked a lot of introspection in a woman actively pursuing her sexuality for her. So sorry. But yeah, Cupcake is very vulnerable. Cupcake is a mean rat. Like, she's very mean. She could eat up all these girls. I think she actually did. She came out with a diss track eating up every single girl. She threw shots at Meg. I didn't like that, but she's a rapper. She's a rapper. She's really good. And I like her because she's like small now, so she can like really build her fan base for when she gets big. But yeah. Okay. I want to go back to civilization. I know I'm probably supposed to be here because I have to grind, but I want to go back to civilization. Let me get these beetles. Come back here, beetles. Concert I really wish I could go to this summer is Kesha's. Kesha is touring, and I kind of like the direction of music she's going into. It feels like she's really making a comeback, and I don't know if she finally broke free from her contract of Dr. Luke. Dr. Luke is not a hit maker anymore. He does not make good music anymore. He was never a good guy. Dr. Luke was the dude who I know you didn't just say you wanted to play colonizer simulation. Are you into civilization? I didn't say that. What? I know you didn't just say you wanted to play the colonizer simulation. Are you into I don't want to play any colonizer simulation. What? No. I no. Can you hear me? Is this thing on? Let the record show that I don't want to be in a colonizer simulation. That's the last thing I'd want. um, you wanted to, oh, you said you wanted to play Civilization, right? No, I don't want to play. I don't even know what that game is. Oh, I said I wanted to go back to Civilization. So my Infinity Nikki character is like out here in the woods. Like she's out here in the woods and she has to grind because she has to go up against like the head gangster of clothing, right? And so I have to grind out here, but I'm lonely and I'm too cute. Look at my outfit, Cole. Like I'm way too cute to be out here in this dirt getting froggy with a bunch of sacks and fabric bags. Like that's what I mean. I want to go back to the people because like I don't want to get my cute little shoes dirty and my fairy dress dirty because I'm in like everything's abandoned. Ooh, but there's a Whimstar up there, so let me get that. So that's what I meant. But like Civilization, I don't even know what that game is. I don't even know if I'd want to play it. Outfit and body is T. Yeah, outfit and body is T, and I'm too cute. I'm too cute to be out here. Okay, so I was talking about Ice Spice, right? Why do we let her get famous? Like, like the whole time she got big off of, what was it? Munch, and then like her EP Butterfly Coup and whatever. I was just really annoyed because I felt like I was going through a big gaslight. I felt like everybody was gaslighting me into not thinking that no way, just because Onika Mirage got cut a really fat check, Miss Nicki Minaj got cut a really fat check to say up under Ice Spice's post that she's the princess of rap. No way that we all were like on board with Ice Spice being the new princess of rap or being the new rap it girl. It felt like they watered down the Cardi B formula for how Cardi B got famous, which if you look at how Cardi B got famous, it was the Nicki Minaj formula, but with more maintenance because Cardi B can't really rap like that. She has to get a lot of ghostwriters and then she needs a lot behind her to make her like a rapper's rapper. You know what I mean? She can't just drop an EP like Meg Thee Stallion out of nowhere to show her rapping ability. She can't do an Alligator Bites Never Heals type of EP or album because the rapping skills aren't there and like that's not really like her brand. Like she doesn't have the ability to do that, so she needs a lot of maintenance. And so people saw that and they were like, okay, how can we cash in on like the next Cardi B, or which is derivative of the next Nicki Minaj's like hip hop formula, right? And so then you get Ice Spice, which is like a watered down version of already the watered down version of Cardi B. And she's not talented. Like, and we all knew that. And then the music was not good. The fashion really wasn't like there. And then as soon as Cleotrapa said, yeah, this heifer stole my whole style. Like she stole my whole style. She stole my whole look. She stole my whole swagger. Basically called her power back on TikTok with her like 20-part story. After that, like Miss Mims fell off. She fell off especially when it came out from Baby Stormy that, how do I get up there? How do I get up there? How am I gonna get up there? I don't know. Do I have to like float from like over there? I don't know how to get up there. But Baby Stormy came out with the text messages of Ice Spice just like going off on her and saying how she feels like Doechii is like always complaining about how she's dark skinned but she's pretty and like all this other weird stuff, and then shit talking the mouth that fed the hand that fed you, the hand that fed Nicki. Like I just never really understood the hype of an Ice Spice. I never understood it. I never got it. And I felt gaslit into thinking that she was the new it girl. I was saying stuff like, well, it sounds like she wrote it, so I guess she's a rapper, but like there was no growth. And it wasn't until all that stuff came out in the text messages that her run was like literally over. And I just think about that because it's just like, how do you like, and we'll talk about this later in the deck I created, but like, we gotta stop letting mediocrity pass. Like, as a unit, as like an audience, we gotta just stop letting people be mediocre and being okay with it, and letting them get into spaces with people who are obviously hungry and want this, okay? Like, they want the spotlight, they want the limelight, and it's deserved. Like, we gotta stop. I think Doechii was a wake-up call for all of us. That like, it was Ice Spice, and then it came out that Ice Spice was shit talking Doechii with Baby Stormy, and then all of a sudden, boom, Ice Spice, Doechii, Alligator Bites Never Heals. Everybody loves that album. Everybody wants to support her, as they should, because like Doechii has been talented. People over here calling her an industry plant. Outside of me being like a blatant Doechii stan, I need all of y'all to understand that she is not an industry plant. There is a core difference between artists that are industry plants. I don't know how I'm gonna get that Wimstar. So yeah, I don't know what I'm gonna do. Okay, so there's a core difference between artists that are industry plants versus artists that are like, that have an industry push. Okay, Doechii has an industry push. Ice Spice was an industry plant. Lil Nas X had an industry push. He was like big from Horses in the Back, Can't Nobody Tell Me Nothing, Old Town Road. And then like a label took took an investment into him, and he was able to sign to a record label. Billie Eilish, I don't listen to any of her music, but she had an industry, like, she wasn't an industry plant. Like, she was working with her brother Phineas and posting music on SoundCloud. You know what I mean? So I want us all to remember that. When we see a new artist, that just because like the internet hasn't talked about ever and you've been under a rock doesn't mean that like they aren't that big. Yeah, exactly, Cole. But Cole says, but they got the nerve to call Doechii an industry. She's not an industry plant. I'm gonna spend all night trying to get up here, even though I got up here before. Okay, maybe I need a box. But like every time I use this box, Okay. Oh, I can pull it down with S. Okay. Yeah, she's not an industry plant. I remember when she came out in 2020 with Oh the Places You'll Go, with that EP, and how good it was, and how I never felt seen in an album or an EP before until Oh the Places You'll Go came out. It like really hit a niche of like what it's like being a weird black girl. Like, it was so good. And everyone's like, no, she's a plant. She's an industry plant, and you know, it's just you don't know her. You don't listen to her music. Like, you know, you're too busy listening to Miss Poopy. You know what I mean? Like, again, industry push versus industry plant. Take note, children. Take note. Okay, if I can get to the star in the next 5 minutes. Can I move it? Okay. If I could get to the star in the next 5 minutes, we can do that. Ooh, here's another thing I want to talk about. All right, so I've been watching a lot of movies lately, and I watched a lot of movies that I really wish I didn't see, or I found out things about them that I didn't really like. You know what I mean? And so, isn't this what I was supposed to do? I was able to jump on here before. And so, okay, let me just focus. Okay, hold on. There we go. Okay, so then how am I supposed to get up there? I don't know how I'm gonna get up there. Damn. Okay, so there's sticks. That's always nice. Okay, so some of the movies I watched. The first movie I watched was Blue is the Warmest Color. It's that French LGBTQ film about you know, a lesbian couple. Like, it starts off, this girl is coming to terms with her sexuality, that she might be gay, and then she meets this blue-haired girl, and then they start a relationship, and then spoilers. The relationship ends. Yeah. I didn't know it was gonna be that explicit. I didn't know it was gonna be that explicit. And there were some moments where I genuinely felt uncomfortable. I was like, okay, I feel like I'm watching like a video on Pornhub. Like, I feel like 13 minute smack scenes, people. 13 minutes. 13 minute, next one 10 minute. It's like, why are we doing this? Has nothing really to do with the story. And then I found out on like some Reddit snark threads that like the guy who directed the movie was making the actresses feel uncomfortable like doing these smack scenes. And so when I tried to watch it again, because I wanted to take in everything, like the conversation and the dialogue, and when I got to the smack scene, I couldn't watch it anymore because I was just like, this is so inappropriate. Like, I don't want to see, like, I feel like I'm watching corn and I'm not like understanding these like characters as people, you know what I mean? Like, Arcane is another example. That's a very like queer coded show with Vi and Caitlyn, and like we were edged the entire time. We were edged the entire time to see whether or not these two would get together and do the do. And you know, for a while we were living off of like not safe for work fan art and fan fictions on Wattpad and Twitter, you know, like that's what I was writing off of. And then season 2 comes around and all we needed was just a scene of them making out, and then maybe Caitlyn like taking off her shirt. I'm talking about Vi and Caitlyn, by the way. And then like that just did so much for us. And like I was happy, I enjoyed it, but I watched Blue is the Warmest Color and I was just like, okay. Like, a part of me was like blushing, like, girl, I don't want to be here. Like, y'all are getting, okay, I can't get that. I'm gonna run away. I'm gonna run off to civilization, baby. Maybe I'll get the Wimstar later. I don't know how I'm gonna be able to get that, but anyway, as I was saying, I didn't want to be there. I just didn't want to be there. I wasn't comfortable. Like, a part of me was like, okay, this is kind of hot, but then also a part of me was like, okay, but like, what does this actually have to do with the story? And then the director made the actresses uncomfortable, and like they didn't really want to do that. And it's like, Jesus Christ, like, why? Jesus, like, why do you have your actresses performing a weird corn fantasy for you and then not like making them aware of what they're actually going to be doing, and then like kind of cheapening the quality of the story? Because really it's a story, like from what I hear what lesbians say that it's like a lesbian nightmare, and like I kind of agree. Like, you know, you date this like bi-curious girl or girl who's like new to lesbianism, whatever, and then she ends up sleeping with you, cheating on you with a man, and it's like, okay, that is like the worst thing ever. But like, I don't know, it just it felt very ooh, what is this sparkly stuff down here? Ooh, I want to see. It just felt very unnecessary. And so there was that. Then I watched Monster. So I watched Monsters first, and then I watched Blue is the Warmest Color. Monster with Charlize Theron, about the serial killer Eileen Wuornos, the first female serial killer in America, and how she got lethal injection in like 2000. And tell me why I was attracted to Charlize Theron as Eileen Wuornos. Like, tell me why that happened. Tell me why the whole time, because Christina Ricci's character Shelby, that girl was not, she got on my damn nerves. I was like, Shelby, if you don't get up and get a fucking job instead of like expecting your new girlfriend that you just U-hauled with to like hook again so that you can live comfortably, like get it the fuck together. The whole time I was like, Eileen, I can fix you. I can fix her. I can fix her. I need to make a list of like all the hear me outs that I have because they are like unhinged. Okay, but I was like, Eileen, I can fix you. You don't deserve this. You know what I think I'm attracted to? I'm attracted to her pain. I'm attracted to her pain, and I want to take her away from all of that because she doesn't have to deal with that. Because the serial Unaliver, Eileen Wuornos, she was assaulted at a very, very young age, like abused by her dad, and then like ran off and lived in Florida. And to survive, because she didn't have any like work experience, she would just do sexual activities for money. And then she meets Shelby, and then Shelby's like okay with it as long as it benefits her. And overall it just ends with like Eileen Wuornos getting caught, Shelby working with the feds, which I don't really blame Shelby, but I don't know, it just reminded me of like how you're just like some things are just inevitable, like depending on your upbringing. Like it's just inevitable that you would end up in a situation like this. And I mean, this is me like taking accountability away from Eileen Wuornos. She did unalive a lot of men, but it was fueled, according to the movie, it was fueled by her getting assaulted by one of her clientele. So like, I don't know. It was one of those female rage movies that just really just, like she barely had a chance. And I don't know, in an alternate timeline, there was some lovely butch lesbian that probably gave her a chance, I don't know. That wasn't Shelby. Okay. Wee. Because Shelby got on my damn nerves. Oh, I hate going to these things. Okay, and so the last movie is like a big, it's not even a hear me out. It's a, like I needed to understand some things, okay? So, okay, I'm gonna stop to say this. All right. So the last movie that I watched was Lolita. Okay, so hear me out, okay? I'm gonna butcher the name, but it's based off of the novel Lolita, written by Vladimir Nabokov. And for those of you who don't know what Lolita is about, it's about a guy's sexual attraction towards an underage girl. And so you're asking exes, why would you watch this? Okay, hang in there. I'm not a weirdo, okay? I promise, okay? The reason why I watched this is because of an argument I had with a friend years ago, before I actually understood what he was trying to get at. And the argument was, I had posted on my Facebook at the time, because I was like a cringe Facebook millennial, always posting memes, BuzzFeed articles that I never read. Or like social political, like Twitter posts, screenshots on Facebook, right? And I said something along the lines of, they need to ban the book Lolita. They need to ban the book Lolita because it's very inappropriate, and people tend to romanticize the aspect of Humbert, the dude who's like the obvious predator, with Lolita, the underage girl. They always romanticize it in media, right? And I talked about that with one of my friends. I was like, yeah, they need to like ban this book. It's inappropriate. People romanticize something that is so clearly creepy. And he was like, well, we can't like ban art, really. Like, that could lead to a media literacy crisis if we can't bother to understand why art is created the way it is. If it's something that we don't understand, because it makes us uncomfortable, we should not have the right to ban it completely or not delve deeper into it, because then we won't be able to have like a well-rounded opinion or nuance on like what the art is trying to say. And I went back and forth with him. I was like, no, I disagree. I think you're wrong. You don't know what you're talking about. And he's like, well, did you read the book? No, I didn't read the book. I did not read the book. I might read the book now just to kind of get like a full understanding, because I have thoughts after watching this movie that traumatized me high key. Like the Lolita movie, like absolutely traumatized me. I will probably never ever watch it again. Okay. But it ultimately ended up in an argument where he was saying how he was worried about the path I was taking. This was around the time I was a spicy worker, and he was worried about the decisions I was making. And I guess what he was trying to hint at is that he was worried and concerned that I was making decisions of things that felt good to me instead of things that I had to do in order to hold myself accountable and facing like things that I might not agree with, you know? And you know, I mean, I still was a swiper, and I didn't really care. I did what I did, and I enjoyed it to an extent, and then I quit and stopped doing it when I no longer enjoyed it. You know what I mean? But I also think that now looking back, now that I'm a little bit older, now that I'm seeing that people, because of the way the internet just like heightens you based off of emotions from the algorithm, I'm able to kind of see now. I'm just gonna like walk around this like platform. I'm now able to really see and understand like what he's saying, because now we're having instances where people aren't really reading books, people aren't reading articles, people don't understand the idea of nuance, and people are willing to jump leap like in the Nutcracker ballet performance type leap to conclusions in order to fit a narrative of something that makes them feel uncomfortable that they don't understand. You know what I mean? And I get it. So with that in mind, I still watched the movie Lolita, and I was disgusted. It was very inappropriate. The music was very unsettling, and everything that was going on was super unsettling. I went to a Reddit trying to kind of make sense of Lolita, and they were more so talking about the book and the whole point of the book, and I guess what the movie was trying to do, but more so the book was that, and I still have to read, is that the author is trying to create a narrative around Humbert where I hope I'm saying his name right. Let me look that up. Is that his? He's a PDF file. Like, I don't need to be saying his name right, but like for the sake of like me knowing what I'm talking about, Humbert. Okay, his name's Humbert. Okay, like Humbert being able to describe his perverseness and being attracted to an underage girl, and him being able to describe it in a way where it is romanticized almost and cherished, and allows the reader to really get into the mind of how some of these PDF files and these predators think, and how they're like always in the right, or how they think that they are in the right for the actions that they do. That was the overall point of the Lolita novel, is for you to get into the mind of a predator and to understand what is going through his mind when he is having this disgusting attraction towards an underage girl. With that in mind, I watched the movie, and there were plenty of instances where it just did not feel that way, where it felt like they were actually romanticizing the relationship between Humbert and Dolores Hayes. Yeah. And I felt very uncomfortable, like very, very uncomfortable and very angry. And the reason why I like exes, why would you even bother to watch Lolita? Because I see a lot of people, celebrities, influencers, shows reference this movie. And they take the most popular references from the movie. They don't take them from the novel, right? The movie adaptation from Sabrina Carpenter sitting in the lake, or sitting amongst a bunch of sprinklers. Hold on, let me just put this into context. Okay, so Sabrina Carpenter, Lolita photo shoot. Okay, so this right here, yeah, this scene was disgusting. I'm sorry, this scene, like, let me see if I can just like zoom in. Okay, so this scene is very, very disgusting. This is the scene from the movie, and then this is what Sabrina Carpenter did. I don't co-sign. Mind you, she's doing this new album where she's on her knees and she's getting her hair pulled, but I don't co-sign this. This is something I do not stand for. I do not stand, right? And I see like this constant repeat every 10 to 20 years or so of people incorporating imagery from, whether it's the 90s movie, whether it's the black and white movie that came out some time ago. I think in Archie, Riverdale was it called? There was a Lolita reference. Yeah, with like the red glasses and the teacher who had a sexual attraction to one of the students. Like, this keeps popping up. And then there was a movie with Julia Stiles called Wicked that I did not see. That I'm pretty sure was based off of, like, took heavy inspiration from Lolita. I still have to see it, but like, there's only so much, you know, underage fully grown man that's not holding himself responsible. Like, there's so much of that I can watch before I'm just like, okay, I can't do it. And by so much, I mean, I don't want to watch any of it. You know what I mean? But I'm trying to figure out the why behind people constantly referencing this book, but not really referencing the book as much as they're referencing the movie adaptation, and referencing it in a way that is like a form of romanticization, like almost siding with Humbert's mindset in a way, almost just like, isn't this sensual, isn't this smexy, isn't this hot, but like you're modeling after an underage girl. And it doesn't help that Sabrina's also like 5 feet tall and like kind of looks like a pubescent child and has like this girl next door type of appearance to her, that's like innocent and playful and all of that. That doesn't help. Ingenue might be a good way to say it. I don't know. It doesn't help. You know what I mean? But I just wanted to watch that movie to develop an opinion for myself before I'm like, okay, so why, like, this movie is gross, this movie is disgusting, and like, you know, my point still stands. This movie is gross, this movie is disgusting. I am incredibly uncomfortable. I did not enjoy the movie at all. I think they did not so much of a good job really getting into the mind of how creepy Humbert is, because if you look into media now, there's more and more people who tend to romanticize, going back to Sabrina real quick, than actually like demonize this like fully grown man sexualizing an underage girl. But going back to what my friend said about like hinting at media literacy and who are we to shit on art or the way art is made because it makes us feel uncomfortable, he did have a point, and I do agree with him. And if we were to ever talk again, I would probably tell him that, you were right in that regard, because we are starting to see more and more people who, when they don't understand things that make them feel uncomfortable or things that are seemingly uncomfortable, they tend to throw the baby out with the bathwater instead of actually understanding the why behind people thinking the things that they do, or why the artist portrayed things in a certain way, or what the artist is trying to say. Another good example, I'm not gonna pull it up because people do not, but you remember, okay, Cuties, you remember that movie? It was a Netflix movie. I don't want to pull it up because it's a very sensitive subject, but it was a Netflix movie about a bunch of underage girls feeling the pressures from social media to hyper sexualize themselves. And it got a lot of backlash and a lot of hate before, I would say, a lot of people actually watched the movie. I watched the movie, and here's what I will say. It had a really good message about underage girls feeling like they have to sexualize themselves or feeling like they have to perform a version of like adulthood based off of the hyper sexual lens of social media. It did its best in trying to portray that. I did not agree with the camera angles of how they were trying to portray that. Like the camera angles where you saw like the underage bodies and stuff, that made me very uncomfortable. But I think that was the director's intention, is to make you feel uncomfortable that these young girls feel like they have to do these certain things in order to be seen as attractive or in order to be seen as desirable. You know, ultimately it ends with the main character going back to just being a girl. But I think it has a lot to say about like Cutie specifically, a lot to say about like girlhood and this constant pressure from younger girls to want to over sexualize themselves in order to appear more grown up, in order to get like access to things in the same way they see their favorite IG influencer or baddie do it. You know what I mean? But that movie, the camera angles were weird, but the message made like I didn't mind the message. I just feel like there was a way to tell the message of Cuties with so Cole says, I fully understand where the director was coming from with Cuties, but very difficult to execute with 12-year-olds. Yes, it's like maybe if they were like 17-year-olds that looked young, but even then that would be weird. It's very difficult to execute, and it's very difficult to just like watch. And it's unfortunate because I don't think that the director should have been snubbed publicly from everybody before watching the movie. I blame Netflix because they came out with a movie poster of the girls like scantily clad in two pieces, like popping their back and all of that, and everybody was like, what the hell is this, you know? But it is very it's just very uncomfortable to think about like how these young girls aren't even like 18 and they're doing all of this like inappropriate stuff. But not gonna lie, as a woman who was once a young girl, there were times where I wanted to seem more grown up, or I got myself in like situations where they were too grown for me to be a part of, or I was around a bunch of girls who wanted to seem as like being grown and grown up and being able to do like more adult inappropriate things. Like that is a common experience that most young girls go through. You know what I mean? But Cole said, but this is reality, so it should make them uncomfortable, myself included. So I definitely side-eyed red pills who say Cuties is their favorite movie. I side-eyed them too. I think Sneeko said that Cuties was his favorite movie. Sneeko was like, I love this movie. Yeah, and it doesn't help that Sneeko was like sniffing up Andrew Tate's booty hole, who has a history of sex trafficking. Like it just did not look, it wasn't a good look, right? Because it is reality. Like this is the impact of, you know, media and entertainment on young girls wanting to look older, wanting to seem more attractive. You know what I mean? But I just remember when that movie came out and people immediately jumped to conclusions because Netflix decided what movie poster they wanted to put up. And they just didn't watch the movie. And anybody who actually watched the movie through like a well thought out, nuanced lens, who had an opinion about it, was like immediate PDF file. And like that's not true. Like I said, the message was good, it was realistic, it was honest about women, young girls, and their exploration through sexuality and like what is expected from them and what they feel like they must do in order to garner attention. It's a hard pill to swallow, as Cole mentioned, but I also think that there was just a way to do it that wasn't so like inappropriate with underage kids, you know what I mean? And so going back to Lolita and like, you know, media literacy crisis and people romanticizing you know, the movie Lolita. I don't know. I just never really understood, because the whole point of the book was that And the whole point of the movie, which I think the movie does a bad job, and I have to read the book because now I have to see, like, okay, how is he writing it so that I can feel uncomfortable? Because I don't feel comfortable in this movie. Like, even in the moments where I'm supposed to, like it should seem beautiful, you know, like, I feel uncomfortable. Absolutely uncomfortable. And then towards the end, I don't want to talk about it, but like towards the end, he like unalives a Smex, an underage Smex trafficker, and that's a whole can of worms. But and it's really tragic. Like, nobody wins at the end. Like, Dolores Hayes, Lolita doesn't win at the end. Humbert doesn't win. Like, nobody gets vindication, right? And Humbert shouldn't get vindication, right? Like, Humbert needs jail. Humbert equals jail, right? But it's just like every time I see a reference to Lolita, it is romanticizing like this book that is about a creepy ass dude and the inner workings of his mind, about how he's trying to rationalize his attraction towards an underage girl. It's just weird. But it you know, I'm glad I'm able to make that opinion based off of watching the movie, at least. I will come back to you guys later after I've read the book and see if I have any more opinions, but I still think it's going to stay there. I think that it's weird that media still keeps going back to like that Lolita innocent type of girl next door, I'm all innocent and cute type of aesthetic, but let me sexualize myself. Like, it's not... like, it's creepy. You know what I mean? Another example, but it's a conversation that we need to have about how creepy it is, but we need to have it in a way where we're not shitting on fully grown women because they like to have their hair pulled in sexy bedroom times. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Also, like, very quickly, God, I really am not a fan of this show, but like, when this happened, Has Been Hotel, Sparkle Dog the show. Okay, Angel. Okay, Angel. Yeah. Okay, so there's a whole scene with. I'm gonna go back to like the, because I don't want to see any inappropriate fan art. So there's a whole scene where this character right here is doing like a singing montage, kind of romanticizing the relationship he has with his PIMP, P to the imp, right? Valentino. And a lot of people on social media were like, why did Viv is the name of the person who created the show, why did Viv romanticize the relationship between Angel and Valentino? That is inappropriate. That makes me uncomfortable. I think it's called Poison. Yeah, it's called... oh god, they have an original soundtrack. Y'all don't really want to know my real opinion about Has Been Hotel. It's not that I don't like the show, it's just that I have to like take it in doses, because if I don't, I'll have a panic attack. Like, it's just too much going on at once, you know what I mean? But I like what it did, you know, for the culture, I guess, for the Sparkle Dog culture, I guess, whatever. Colson Has Been Hotel mentioned, oh lord, my heart skipped a beat. See, like, I don't know, if you're like a weird chronically online person, I think you'd understand why I just get stressed every time Has Been Hotel is mentioned. But it's like a fascination for me, because it's not like I don't like the show, it's just like it's a lot to take in. And also what sends me is that Keith David, Pastor Greenleaf, if you've ever watched the OWN network about that show about the mega church, like, he's in this. Gargoyle guy, like, he's in this. Like, I don't know. Or Keith David, not Keith Lee. Keith Lee was the eater, but like Keith David is in this. And it's just like this neurospicy ass show, and you have somebody's black grandpa up here playing a gambling bat. Like, girl. But anyway, going back to Angel and this song about him romanticizing the relationship between him and Valentino, his P to the I to the M to the P. A lot of people were like, well, why would you do that? Why would you romanticize this sex trafficking relationship they have with their P to the imp? Like, why would you do that? I don't understand. This is awful. You know, Viv is endorsing sex trafficking or like really inappropriate relationships and all of that. And like, that's not what she's trying to do. I don't think that's her intention. But because we've reached this place on the internet where like nuance is basically non-existent, people don't understand media literacy that well, and they don't understand that some art is meant to make you feel uncomfortable. Like, no, you're not supposed to side with Angel when he's talking about how he's gonna be like, you know, like how he wants to be Valentino's poison or whatever. I forgot the song, right? Like, you're not supposed to be okay with Angel singing this, and you're not supposed to gas up the relationship between Angel and Valentino. Like, that's weird, you know, that's the point. It's like satire. It's supposed to make you feel uncomfortable. You know what I mean? But people are like, no, I need to be spoon-fed that this is an uncomfortable feeling. No, you don't, sweetheart. You really, really don't. Like, you have to use your brain and understand that something like this is incredibly inappropriate. So, and you also have to understand that certain pieces of art isn't going to, or like literature or shows or media isn't going to spoon feed you and let you know, hey, by the way, you're supposed to feel uncomfortable when X, Y, and Z happens. Like, you're supposed to come to that conclusion yourself. And if you don't initially, you might want to unpack the why behind it. You know what I mean? With that in mind, I do feel like what this show lacks in general is just like decent writing. And I think when you have serious conversations like Angel talking about how he enjoys being, you know, poison to Valentino, his P to the imp, I think what happens is that a lot of people, like Has-Been Hotel has curated an audience of individuals who have the who have the humor of like 17-year-old edgelords when it's trying to be a mature show for adults. And then you look at shows like, what is it, BoJack Horseman, which is like a really serious show that does not shy away from being like BoJack being toxic, or maybe even like Tuca and Birdie, that does tackle like the same conversations about like rape and assault and all of that. But they do so in a way that they don't want you to shy away from it. They want you to understand. I think that where Viv kind of lacks is like the depth of writing, where that like she's trying to make ugly, cringy, humorous jokes about like hell, and then comes out with like this really serious side arc or origin story of Angel, and then like people don't really know how to understand it because like the tone of the show, but not even the tone of the show, but the writing of the show just feels very like juvenile. So I don't know, but that's also another example. With that in mind, don't shy away from art that makes you uncomfortable. Always ask yourself why, and unpack the why, and ask yourself why you are feeling the way you do. So I'm not saying for you to like go watch Lolita right now. Please don't watch that movie. But I am saying like, just if something makes you uncomfortable and it's not being spoon-fed to you, understand why and like what they're doing well or not so well to make you feel uncomfortable. You know what I mean? Because not everybody is going to give you the answer on how you should feel. Sometimes you have to come up with your own interpretation yourself. And hey, did you notice that like the little box was in the shape of a shirt? just understand, if something makes you uncomfortable, like a piece of art makes you uncomfortable, before like pushing it away and being like, this makes me uncomfortable, stop showing it. Just ask yourself the reason as to why it makes you uncomfortable and why you feel the way you do, or why it didn't do a good job at like what it was trying to communicate. You know what I mean? So Cole says, this brings me back to the Sabrina Carpenter cover. Like, it's been done before, but she's not really saying anything with the photo. It's rage bait, which I'm not hating, but there's a difference. Yeah, I think the Lolita photo with Sabrina Carpenter, I wasn't really a fan of that. You know what I mean? And I don't even think it's like rage bait. I just think it's just like they're playing on to like this weird fantasy. Oh, there's people over there. Girl, I don't even know if I want to get to them, because I gotta get through my musty deck. Like we're bringing that back real quick, right? But I think it's the same thing we saw with like Britney Spears too. Like how, you know, that Rolling Stone magazine where she's holding the teddy bear and she has PJs on and she looks like a teenager in her bedroom. It's like the same thing. It's just weird. I think it's tapping into like a very perverse like fetish that like most men kind of have, unfortunately. Like a good chunk of men really do have. But you know, I just wish she wouldn't have done that. But like, as far as like her liking to get her hair, liking her hair getting pulled, like that's not really like, I could care less. And like now I'm just seeing like stark similarities between her and Ariana Grande. And I mean, maybe because Ariana Grande kind of came up when I was like growing up too, but like Ariana is a really talented pop star. Like, sure, she gives pop star for brand, and that's always going to be great. But, like, a lot of what Sabrina Low-Key does is what Ariana Grande kind of already did. Like, the 60s mod type of, you know, it's just, she's doing her own spin on it. If Ariana Grande was Audrey Hepburn, Sabrina Carpenter is, like, Bridget Bardot, and that's okay. But it's just also, like, Ariana Grande has a good singing voice. Like, you can't take that away from that woman. You know what I mean? And there's just, like, a weird fascination that I feel like entertainment has with young women. Or women portraying themselves as young. It feels like ever since Ariana Grande got married and kind of let everybody know, hey, guys, I'm an adult now. Like, I do adult type shit. Like, I got married, you know. 69 was like her sing-songy version of WAP. It feels like ever since, wow, that was satisfying to do. Can I climb up there? No? Okay. But ever since that, I don't know. It felt like they were just like throwing her away or being like unnecessarily hard on her. Well, actually, excuse me. They had every right to be hard on her when she was I'm not gonna say homewrecker, but like had a affair with Ethan Slater when Ethan had a whole wife and kid at home. That I hear allegedly isn't going that well. But like, hey, consequences of your own actions. But like, even if she got into that type of stuff, press escape and press courses. Thanks, Heaven. Thanks for being here. Hi, Heaven. Heaven has shown up. She's also a native to my live, so it's Heaven and Cole. Shout out to y'all. But as I was saying, it just, like Ariana Grande is a good singer, and so yeah, is she a homewrecker? Well, not really a homewrecker, but did she get caught up in an affair? Yeah. Was it not okay? Yeah. Does she have a habit of doing this? Yes. But like, objectively, is she like a stronger singer than like most of the girly pops that are out here now? Yeah. And so like that, you're never gonna, like, you compare Ariana's affair with like what Ice Spice and Central C, when Ice Spice was like dating Central C, and then the girlfriend came out and said that Central C cheated on her with Ice Spice. And it's like, nobody really liked Ice Spice to begin with. Like, people were not a fan of her. And so they were just like everyone didn't like her bad music, you know what I mean? And so it comes out that she's basically the other woman, and then she makes a song about it, and it's just like, oh, okay. It's like giving a reason for people to not like you because the talent, it just isn't there. Whereas like if Ariana Grande comes out and says, yeah, I, you know, or she didn't really say anything, but it came out that Ethan Slater and Ariana Grande were a thing while Ethan had a kid. And then Ariana Grande comes out with the song Yes and Eternal Sunshine, and it's just like, oh, but she's so talented because she can actually sing, you know? Whereas like Ice Spice can't rap or do much else outside of shake her ass, which isn't really hard to do if you stretch your hips. So like, I don't know. Anyway, I'm gonna end it here, and I'm gonna talk about like a lot of other pop culture stuff. So I'm gonna exit the game, and we're gonna talk about things that are on my mind. So let's go to the plant lady. Huh. Okay. And I think after this I can play some Marvel Rivals. All right, I call this deck X's What's on Your Mind because it's just going to be a combination of things that have been on my mind in the past week that I just really want to talk about, whether it goes to pop culture or movies I've seen or shows I like, things that I'm really passionate about that I have to get off of my chest. This is, welcome everybody, welcome to Hey X's What's on Your Mind. I think I'm going to put this into presentation view. Maybe not, because like I have to like reference, like I have to go use Google sometimes. All right, so an allocation of unhinged thoughts I have during this past week. Okay, first and foremost, the diddler. Okay, the diddler is currently in the court right now. He is currently on trial. And after some time, there has been a verdict. Now, one thing I will say about the diddler. Let me do a brief recap for those of you who don't know what's going on. But it has came out that Puff Daddy, P Diddy, Sean Combs, who is a mogul of hip hop, had been sued by Cassie Ventura. It's me and you now. You know, her, because due to, I guess, misconduct and abuse and assault under the Sean Combs, P. Diddy brand or business. And so Diddy has been in jail while foregoing the trial for his crimes. Because it's not just Cassie Ventura that also came out. It has been a whole slew of other people that have also come out and said that Diddy has had very shady business practices with his company, with his label Bad Boy Records, and also with just like him as an individual from the freak offs. And so Cassie Ventura comes out and basically says that she is one of the many women that might have been, and men that might have been abused by Diddy at these freak off parties, right? With these upper echelon celebrities and wealthy people. Okay. So the verdict has come, and two out of the five charges that Diddy has showed that he was in fact guilty. The charges that he was not guilty in was racketeering conspiracy, sex trafficking by force, fraud, or coercion. It has been found out that he is not guilty on any of those charges. However, he is guilty in transportation to engage in the P word and transportation to engage in the P word, I guess, for another victim as well. And I just find it a little interesting. I find it a little interesting because the change in tone amongst a bunch of people from like December of like 2023 to the actual trial in 2025, the tone has shifted a lot. At the beginning, I felt like there was faith. You know, I felt like there was people who understood, like, no, this man has been creepy. This man has been on some ish. The baby oil thing is weird. Now we're looking back at a lot of our favorite, like, singers, celebrities, starlets. I'm thinking about Justin Bieber. I'm also thinking about Diddy Kane. People are also, like, side-eyeing the people that Sean Combs cozies up to, Jay-Z and Beyonce, unfortunately Beyonce, but you know, I don't want to get into that right now. But people are looking at the beginning, people were looking at Diddy like, no, he's been a creep, he's been a weirdo, and he's been on this time. And they were always saying that this guy needed his comeuppance from like very, very early on. I've said this in a video before, but when I was younger, like 8 years old, my grown parents, my grown mother, like 40, does not listen to hip hop, does not like hip hop, does not fuck with hip hop at all. Was in the car with my older aunt, who especially doesn't listen to hip hop, and they both agreed that Diddy was a literal demon. That he was the devil. Like, he was not a good, like, you could see it in his eyes. There was something very, very dark and sinister about this man. This has been a conversation for years before white media had gotten attention from it, or had garnered attention, or like had started talking about it. It is unfortunate as the trial has gone on. As we know that, you know, one of the charges that Diddy is facing is literal racketeering. As we know that people have came out and said that they have been DRUG'd at his freak-offs. That, you know, you look at videos of artists like Justin Bieber who look completely out of it. And who is always around? Diddy. You look at Meek Mills and how he's completely out of it, calling Diddy his daddy, okay? If everybody was sober and that's what they're into, I want the record to know, like, if that's what Meek Mills is into, that's fine. We have people making a joke out of it and focusing more so on the fact that Diddy is gay or bisexual than actually focusing on the fact that Diddy has been assaulting people, has been taking advantage of people, has been using people, has been denying people opportunities if they don't go along to get along, okay? And then when it's all said and done, when we finally get to the trial and when we finally get to Casey Ventura's testimony, and we see that, like, if you know patterns of abuse, you do know that it's like your nervous system kind of changes to kind of be conditioned to be into the abuse, that there is a grooming situation that happened with Cassie before she even got with Diddy, because she was already with like some 27-year-old man, right? I like the bonnet, but the problem is that when you're looking at the testimony, I started to see more and more people lose faith in Cassie Ventura and not really understand how grooming works, how when you're in an abusive relationship, you're more than willing to do almost anything it takes in order to keep it. You know, I've been in circumstances like that before where I'm just like, oh man, I just want this man to pay attention to me, so let me just do anything I can, anything I need to in order for him to pay attention to me, even though he's like not good for me at all, right? Like, that happens. But then the defense team is able to form it in a way that, no, Cassie is like this lovesick DRUG hungry woman who is just after Diddy's money and willing to take his empire down, when that's anything but the truth, when that's not what's going on. And I think as soon as Cassie's testimony came out and the defense cross-examined her, we started seeing commentators, some I will not explain or not talk about today, because I just don't like them as individuals, but just kind of like add fuel to the fire as to why we shouldn't believe Cassie. We started to see a lot more men side with Diddy and say like, free Diddy, he did nothing wrong. And then there were talks about, because of who's in office, Diddy might possibly be let go. Like, he'll be let go. He might possibly not have to serve any jail time. I will say that it's good that they found 2 of the 5 counts of him being guilty. That is very good. But I feel like the big ones, the racketeering, the trafficking of both witnesses, Cassie and the Jane Doe, like, that's worrisome to me. That's very worrisome to me. We'll have to see what the final judgment is, like how much jail time he does, if he's on probation, if he's on bail. We'll have to see. But all I know is that if this man gets to walk free, if the charges are dropped, if Trump exonerates him or whatever, this is probably going to be the last time you're going to hear me talk about this, because men like Diddy are dangerous. And I need other men who are siding with Diddy to stay far away from me, because you absolutely know that men like Diddy are dangerous. Like, he's built his whole brand off of the backs of others, talented people, not himself, and has been able to position himself in a way where he has so much power and so much connections that he could make or break someone's career or make a regular person's life worse. Like, this man has done awful things to people. When he was dating J-Lo, okay, so now we're going to go to the Google search. When he was Diddy J-Lo, when he was dating J-Lo, first of all, I think this really helped her brand, right? Because we knew this heifer couldn't sing. We knew she couldn't sing. We knew she wasn't that talented. We knew somebody got in her ear and thought she could go toe to toe with Beyonce. I don't know who said it, but like, this wasn't gonna happen, okay? But like, when she was dating Diddy, and then there was like a mugshot because they went to a club and some stuff happened, right? Where she was asked to like hold you know what I mean? And the woman that came out said that Diddy was the one that was the one that harmed her, okay? And then when it was all said and done, his friend, I think his name is Shine took the fall and served 10 years in prison. And this woman who got harmed by Diddy kept saying, no, Diddy was the one that harmed me. It was not Shine. It was Diddy. And so this is the man that you're dealing with, right? This is the man that you're defending, okay? And I don't know, maybe it's bots that are like egging on really toxic people to go online and just have the worst opinions. But you are co-signing and gassing up a man who let another man take the fall for a crime that he committed. And so again, if you do side with this man and you're okay with the verdict, you have to stay so far away from me, because this tells me everything I need to know about you as a person. This also, honestly, in a greater scheme of things, tells me everything I need to know about the system, the society that we live in, how like men that align with Diddy actually think, or want to side with Diddy actually think, how most of the men, where is my old deck? Where is my old deck? Google Slides real quick. Let me pull up Google Slides, because I talked about this a couple weeks ago. How the same men that are out here gassing up, let me go to my webcam right real quick. For the same men out here that are gassing up Diddy are also the same men that are probably gassing up all of these people that I had talked about beforehand, that have all done really shitty things to people and have actively harmed women and other people in general. You are so willing. Men are so willing to side with the patriarchy that does not even benefit them per se, in order to obtain like an inkling of privilege, instead of acknowledging that wrong is wrong. And so Heaven says, I'm actually scared of a pardon. I am too, which is why this may be the last time that I talk about this, because if this man gets out, my partner believes that if this man gets out, he will be like, something will happen to him. I am convinced if he gets out, something will happen to all the witnesses that took the stand, because we've seen this happen. It's not even the Shine and the Diddy thing where Shine took 10 years to jail because Diddy wanted him to take the fall and then he didn't come to save him. Diddy also pulled up on Tupac once, like Tupac's like management company once, because there was a disagreement between the two of them. Diddy also allegedly unalived Kim Porter, okay, and has unalived a bunch of other people in his orbit and in his circle that were about to come out with books and novels and evidence and all of that. Okay, like, this man is, and to see men just crawl back and defend him, and then to see, like, I never really liked this dude. I have to stop watching him, but people like Armand Wiggins, like, just douse themselves in baby oil as a meme. So let's see if the TikTok will play. Like, what the hell is this? Like, this is... Someone said this is a Boondocks episode, and it is. This is inappropriate, and this is disgusting, and, like, we are making light a situation of a literal predator, of a literal groomer, of someone out here who was taking advantage of the resources and the power that he had and using that in order to harm other people who were hungry for a chance. I am disgusted. I am disturbed. This is very gross. If he does get pardoned, I might cut this chunk of the live off. Like, I don't know, because I'm very scared. Okay. No, you should not play around with this dude. Okay. He, like, just like Black Media and Entertainment has been saying, this guy has been on one before anybody actually spoke up. Okay. I don't know what type of vengeance he's going to take. All right. I don't know to what efforts. I really don't know to what efforts he's going to try and rebrand himself and redo himself, that where he's taking everyone down with him. I'm very worried for Cassie Ventura. I'm absolutely worried for her, because it took so much for her to come out and say all of the things that happened, only to be cross-examined by a defense team. And I feel like, and we'll get to this about like how I feel like we're regressing socially as a society, because like Cassie was abused. There was film footage of her getting abused by Diddy. Okay, Cassie was abused, assaulted, DRUG'd out of her mind, also barely had a chance, because before she turned 21 she was already in the arms of like a 27-year-old man when she was like 18, 19, 16, 17. You know what I mean? Like, she was a young girl. And just to see so many men, so many like red pill men, so many just awful men in general just side with this dude and not understand like how harmful this man is, disturbing and gross. Stay far away from me. I don't want to be involved with you. Diddy is not a good guy. He never was a good guy. He was an awful individual. I think that the reason why they might pardon him, if they do, is because he has so much blood on his hands, that they might have to, like, if he goes down, everybody goes down. But people were even saying in the courtroom that he looked like he was out for blood. Something else I've noticed from this trial is that I respect that we have reached a point where the people who get to cover the stories, the individuals who have the right and privilege to cover stories, cover news, cover media, cover politics, aren't that of like CNN or MSNBC or E! News Entertainment or Fox News, right? Like, we've gotten a little bit more local. We've gotten a lot more smaller. Social media has made it. And so here's the positives of social media. Social media has created a space and made it so easy for the everyday person to pick up a microphone, to smaller journalists who never really got a shot in the mainstream to start a channel, and to start reporting on the news in the same way we see a lot of news journalists do today. I think that is awesome. But I think with certain creators like Armand Wiggins, and in some cases, Stephanie Sue, which I have my own beefs. I have my own beef with Stephanie Sue. I'm not going to get into it right now. I think there needs to be some decorum when covering serious news stories like this. And I think that's one thing that I will say mainstream television does well, is when shit is serious and shit is real, you can't hee ha ha kiki joke. He looks like a fuzzy koala, according to Stephanie Sue, or this type of shit. This ridiculousness. Like, you have to have couth. Mind you, Armand Wiggins is in the he's in the courtrooms, and he's doing like a play-by-play of what happens, and he's telling all of what happened with Cassie Ventura and Diddy and all of that, and he's almost like mocking the whole story. Stephanie Sue's over here telling the story like it's a true crime video, which I already have my beef with true crime, right? And it's just like, this is where we need to like clock certain creators and let them know you are a content creator, you are an entertainer, you're not a journalist. Because if you're a journalist, you would have some respect and couth and understanding for the seriousness of what's going on. And to just sit up here and describe Diddy as like, he looks like a fuzzy koala, watch me eat my bagel before I go to the courtroom, like Stephanie Sue, or douse me in baby oil, or Cassie's a crack whore, the way that Armand Wiggins would do. Like, this is where it gets dangerous. This is where like we need the gravity to be more serious so that we can prevent or give a strong side eye of shame towards men who want to side with Diddy and be completely okay with all the monstrosities that he's done. Gone are the days where you can sit up here and be like, oh, well, Cassie knew what she was getting herself into. She knew. She was 18, bro. And Diddy was like 40, bro. Also, you have to look at like parents. Everyone likes to use that argument. Well, where were the parents? I feel like it deflects from the actual criminal of the crime, right? Where are the parents? Where were they there? Yes, where are the parents? But you also have to understand, a lot of parents who want their kids out in the limelight, who want their kids to, have an opportunity, are P to the imping out their kids. They're PIMPINGing their kids. Okay? And so these predators like Diddy know that, and they're taking advantage of the situation. It's why Justin Bieber and Usher were thrown. Justin Bieber. Like, Justin Bieber was basically thrown into like a sex trafficking situation, going to Diddy's flavor camp, the same camp that Usher went to. And you know what? I never really was a fan of Justin Bieber. I never really liked his music like that. I never really did. But one thing I will say is that my heart grieves for him. Like, he did not deserve any of the stuff that happened to him as a kid. He did not deserve a lot of the hate that a lot of, let's just be honest, a lot of jealous ass, musty, dusty boys that don't know how to wash their ass were giving Justin Bieber because all the girls loved him. He did not deserve to be like sexualized in the way he was at a young age. He did not deserve like having so many adults in his space and no one there to protect him. Like, prayers up for Justin Bieber, high key, because like and he probably doesn't want any videos coming out of like what actually happened between him and Diddy and Rick Ross and whoever else. You know what I mean? All right. So Cole says, literally the result of grape culture. How sick. Yeah. Literal result of this is grape culture. And what sends me, Cole, is that we have I'm sorry. So I'm gonna read the comments real quick. Heaven says he didn't deserve any of the hate, poor guy, referencing Justin Bieber. I agree, right? And then Cole says Justin Bieber was unfortunately groomed. What's not clocking, y'all? So I find that funny because The reason why I find it funny isn't because he was groomed. It's because there's a video on TikTok of Justin Bieber getting hoarded by the paparazzi or the police. I don't know. And he's like, what's not clocking to y'all? I have a kid. I have a son. Is it not clocking to you? And I find that so funny. I find that so funny. But I also feel really bad for him. I feel very, very bad for him. I feel bad for the situation he's in. I feel bad that he had to sell his masters. I feel bad that he was around really awful people that didn't want to protect him. That his mother just and his parents just like flung him over to these people that he's not protected by. And then like we're all acting crazy when he like acts out when he's like a young 20 some odd year old. Like you would too. You would too. Okay. So really quickly, I want to address Cole's comment where she says, literally the result of grape culture. How sick. So and that's the problem I have, is that we, in 2010, we made a very, very aggressive and strong effort to debunk and unpack the construct of grape culture. That was like the talking point. Remember the Me Too movement? Remember Harvey Weinstein and Bill Cosby and, you know, like, remember when Hollywood was getting its comeuppance? We were making efforts to talk about how grape culture works. Solid efforts. A lot of women felt moved to come out and talk about their experiences of when they were raped. And it's very common. And what I think is very shameful now is because of this new conservative push, and this new way of thinking, because people really honestly don't have, and then like from a reading level, do not have the intelligence outside of like a sixth grader, right? We are yet again having the same conversations, except in a more localized space of the music industry or hip hop specifically. There are more and more conversations of like, well, why are you trying to bring in black man down? This is awful. White men do it, blah, blah, blah. I've talked about this before. Black guys need, I don't know who, strong parental figure. I don't know who needs to sit them down and let them know that you are not a black man, or you're not a white man. You're not a white man. You don't get to move the same way white men do. Harvey Weinstein was a white man, and eventually he had his comeuppance. Okay, you don't get to move like a Clive Davis and not seek any not have any retribution come your way. You can't move like that. You can't, especially when the money runs dry or the money starts getting funny. Okay, you can't, because at the end of the day, your check is coming from a white man that if you piss off, we'll make an example out of you. Another conspiracy theory I have that's really not so much of a conspiracy is this probably all came to pass because the money was probably a little funny and someone wanted to put Diddy in line. How many victims have came out and said that Diddy did XYZ to them and they immediately got silenced? They immediately got silenced. I think there was one victim. She was an MTV model. Diddy, MTV model. From like the 90s. Yeah, I don't know her name. She was really pretty, but she was also raped by Diddy. And she kept the clothes from when she was raped. But it took her, this was in 2000, okay? It's 2025. It took her 25 years to seek justice, and I don't even think she's going to really seek justice like that. Okay? And, like, that just tells you everything you need to know about rape culture and siding with these people and how awful of an individual they are. She literally saved the clothes that had the on it. Like, what more proof do you need? So I do believe my big fat conspiracy theory is the money was funny, or he pissed somebody off. He's pissed some white dude off with way more money than he did and was like, okay, let me make an example out of you. I do believe that because they protect people like Diddy. They protect people like Bill Cosby, like Harvey Weinstein. They protect these people. They build narratives around these people, around these awful individuals. How is Chris Brown still able to be a heartthrob to women, but he keeps laying his hands on women? And let me tell you, I think Chris Brown is amazing. I think he's talented. But, like, why are you laying hands on women? Like, I can't support that. The DDG one is interesting because, what was it? Cooking with Kaya came out and said, well, he didn't do anything to me. He didn't abuse me. Girl, that's a whole nother video that I need to talk about because, like, again, that's how rape culture works. That's how people develop alibis. Of course he's not going to abuse you. He needs an alibi against his, way more talented baby mama. And so he's gonna pull Cooking with Kaya aside. He's gonna pull like an OF model aside and be like, you know, I can't believe this is happening. Like, I'm just trying to do my best. And they're gonna say, oh yeah, well, he's a nice guy. Yeah, to you, right? Until he isn't. Okay. So, in conclusion, please stop siding with abusers who live completely different lives from you. So this, again, goes into like patriarchy, right? And like how men will be more than willing to side with abusers, super wealthy men that live super wealthy lifestyles that are completely different from you. They're willing to jump through hoops, Simone Biles levels of gymnastics, Nutcracker's levels of leaping, ballet performance levels of leaping in order to side and jump to conclusions to side with a man like Diddy. Diddy would not piss on you if you were in flames. You saw that with how he did his homeboy shine. Okay, you saw how he did his homeboy shine. And he knew shine. What on earth would make you think that this man would piss on you if you were in flames? Okay, stop siding with men that you will never live those same lives as. Okay, just stop it. All right. And that's the end of that. Like, I'm glad we're over this hurdle. This is pretty heavy. Okay. So what is also on my mind? Okay. So as you all know, I'm about to go to the Cowboy Carter tour soon. I am very excited. I am a little nervous about my outfit. I don't know if it's going to come together in the way I want it to. And the cowboy boots I'm wearing are really uncomfortable. So I'm also wondering if I just pack in some flats or I just go in my sandals just to be comfortable, right? Like, I'm really worried about that. But can we have a conversation about Miss Giselle for a minute? Because I watched the Beyonce Experience Live tour for the very first time. Okay. And let me break some things on you. I've mentioned this before. I am a Beyonce fan, right? But I am not like a diehard Beehive fangirl. It's more like a Beyonce, they can never make me hate you type of ordeal. You know, like they can never make me hate Beyonce. Like, I will always love her. In my childhood, she has always been prevalent. I remember listening to Crazy in Love when I wasn't supposed to, Naughty Girl, Baby Boy when I wasn't supposed to. I remember when she was in Destiny's Child. I remember when Single Ladies dropped and how I would listen to that on repeat while our parents like traveled around to figure out which house we'd have to rent out after dealing with the 2008 recession. Too much trauma dumping, I'm sorry, but Single Ladies was really a part of that, you know? I remember when Irreplaceable dropped and how that was on the radio all the time, which was very poetic that like she ended the show with Irreplaceable, mind you, because I forgot how much that song was trending on the Billboard at that time. That song was so popular, right? So I also remember when Self-Titled came out. I wasn't like really in tune, but I like knew when it came out, when she surprised everybody and said she was pregnant. Countdown, that music video was iconic. When she did her collab with Lady Gaga, like, this woman has been in my life, y'all. Okay, she's been in my life. She has been there. She has been in my space. She has been in my life. And so I didn't really know how amazing her performances were until I watched her Beychella performance. Like, I would see her sometimes on the TV, right? And so when I first watched her Beychella performance, I was like, oh my God. Like, oh shit, she's actually that girl. She's exactly who she said she is. But I didn't believe it, right? And I should have had inklings, because I remember Beyonce before then, before like what this came out in 2018, before then she MTV Awards in 2016, she performed like a medley of her songs, and it like kind of rewired the brain chemistry of like an MTV performance for a minute. Like this was like the peak of like good, like quality MTV award shows is her performing her Lemonade medley, right? But I watched the Beyonce experience live, because old Beyonce Beehive fans, old heads, okay, like old school Beehive, right? Because she has fans of all generations, all right? They were like, nah, you need to get into this. Like, you're not a true Beyonce fan unless you've watched this. Unless you've watched this and really understand why Beyonce is who she is, you're not gonna get it. You're not gonna understand it. It's not going to be clocking for you, okay? And so I watched the Beyonce experience live before I came on live stream with you guys, because I really wanted to just see, okay, like what, like is water wet? Basically, that's what I wanted to know. Is water wet, right? And I will have to concur that water is wet, that Beyonce is exactly who she says she is. Beyonce is incredibly talented, that I would almost argue, and like take heed to what I say when I say this, okay? Because I don't say this about any artist, right? Out of all of Beyonce's contemporaries that had came out in the in the 90s, the 99s, or the 2000s, into the 2010s, and even now into the 2020s, I need y'all to always know this, okay? It was always going to be Beyonce, girl. It was always going to be Beyonce. It was always going to be her. And I will never forgive none of you for playing in my face. For playing in my face and telling me personally, like telling me, like, the little social experience, the social communications I'd have, the way media and entertainment would downplay, right? I will never forgive y'all for playing in Miss Giselle's face for years, like she wasn't exactly who she said she was, like she wasn't that girl, like she couldn't sell out arenas, like she couldn't sell out tours. I'd like to also preface that while I do love Beyonce, I absolutely understand that a Beyonce doesn't get to be a Beyonce without, you know, blood on their hands, right? Like, I can agree Beyonce is still a capitalist. Beyonce has done some shady things. Beyonce does not pay her writers. I think Ivy Parkwood was made in a sweatshop. You don't become a billionaire ethically, right? Is basically what I'm saying. And if Beyonce is close to billionaire status, or like super close to it, like close to billionaire status, or is on billionaire status on her own, I don't know what her net worth is right now. You don't get to like it's just not ethical, right? But I like, just in the same way the Swifties will sit up here, the left-leaning Swifties will sit up here and be like, F Elon, F Jeff Bezos. But oh my god, 1989, girl, is the same way I feel about Beyonce. Except the only difference is that, like, this is deserved, okay? Like, this is the, like excuse me. There was a video clip of Diana Ross on The View, where she was being asked by the View members. I think it was Joy, what's her name? Not Joy Taylor. Is it Joy Taylor? Whoopi Goldberg, Joy Taylor. No, it's not Joy Taylor, girl. It's the redhead on The View. Joy Taylor is the girl that got caught with that dude from ESPN. what is her name? Joy. But she's the older lady that has the red hair. And she was basically asked by the cast of The View, all right, let's get back to it because I'm a mess. I'm all over the place. Diana Ross was asked by The View what she thought about the new age pop girlies, the girlies that were killing it in pop, right? She was asked what she thought about Britney Spears, about Christina Aguilera, Jessica Simpson, J-Lo, what she thought about those new pop girls. And I'm starting to notice in a lot of these interviews, some of the interviewees will kind of like goad an answer out of the interview. Some of these interviewers will goad an answer out of the interviewees, right? They will goad an answer in hopes that they will respond in the way that they need them to, right? And it's a really good PR stunt. I've seen it done before. You know, Shannon had his own shit going on the podcast that he had with Kai Cenat when he was trying to ask Kai Cenat if Megan Thee Stallion was his favorite rapper, and Kai doubled down on Nicki Minaj. When Lainey Wilson was asked about Beyonce, and Lainey was like, I like Beyonce, you know, like, which I don't mind Lainey Wilson, she's cool, right? I noticed that some interviewers will do that to the people that they're interviewing. And so Diana Ross is sitting up here on The View, and they're asking her about everybody but Beyonce. J-Lo, Jessica Simpson, Britney Spears, what is your thoughts? Do you think they're the next it girls? Like, how do you feel about these women seeing these young girls and the music industry taking over? Immediately said Beyonce. Did not even skip a beat. She's like, those are, you know, I think they're doing their thing, but I really have such a fond appreciation for Beyonce and what she's doing. She's working so hard. She's such a good performer. She really does her thing. I am really impressed by the work ethic and the talent of Beyonce. Why are you playing in Beyonce's face? Why were we playing in Beyonce's face? Why were we actually playing in Beyonce's face? I remember my parents, because Beyonce had that song with Luther Vandross. And mind you, not just anybody gets a song with Luther Vandross. Oh my God. I remember Steve Harvey said when Luther Vandross passed away, it was like the Pope died in the Black community. Like we were up in shambles. It was a rough time for all of us. I was 8 years old and I didn't even know what was happening. And it was a rough time. Okay, so she works with the Luther Vandross. I'm in the car in my mom's 2006 Forest Green Ford Expedition Explorer. We're listening to the song with Beyonce and Luther Vandross over and over again. And my parents have the audacity to twist up their mouth and say, well, she just sounds okay. She's not that good. She just sounds average. She's not this incredible, talented vocalist. Mind you, they were spoiled with talents. Like, they were spoiled with music of artists that could actually sing, right? Not saying that Beyonce couldn't, because she could, but she's the last of it. She's a dying breed, right? And so I'm sitting here and I'm like, well, I like Beyonce. Like, what did they have against this woman? Like, why do they not like her? Like, why do they think she's untalented, or that she can't sing, or that she sounds average? Like, I don't really understand. Like, what's going, like, why are they doing this, right? Like, so even in my own life, y'all were playing in Miss Giselle's face in front of me. Like, how are you going to sit up here and say that she wasn't that talented, that she wasn't all that? Now I understand that some people do that to try to humble really talented girls, especially really talented girls that they feel that are unattainable, that don't deserve the talent, that don't deserve the recognition. But I was just like, throughout her whole entire career, between my parents thinking she's average because they were spoiled with Whitney Houston and Mariah Carey, who are vocalist juggernauts of their time. You're never going to see another Whitney. You're never going to see another Mariah Carey. Hang it up flat screen, okay? Or like, navigating white suburbia and going to school with a lot of white kids and then being like, but Taylor Swift. Or like sharing my music interests with people online who were into like edgelord Metallica, not that Metallica isn't, like, I love Metallica, right? But like I would share a Beyonce song and they would be like, I don't like it, or they'd be like, oh well, she's just doing too much singing, it's just a lot of singing, I just don't like it. It's just too much. Why are you playing in Giselle's face? And so then you see artists like, right, like her peers, right? So like one of her peers, I would argue, is Chloe Bailey, right? And then she does a performance on Jimmy Fallon. She does this performance on Jimmy Fallon, and you know, the song is like, okay, it's Have Mercy. And y'all look at Chloe Bailey and y'all make comments and you're like, why is she doing the most? Why is she doing so much? Why is she, you know, getting all passionate and talking about how big her butt is, right? Like, why is she doing all of that? Why is she doing all of that? Why? This is why. Oh, girl, Cole, we're about to get to it, girl. What? Just hold on. I'm about to clock Mr. Okay, we're about to get to it. Okay. Cole said something, but I'm gonna hold off because unironically they're actually in this deck. Okay, listen. Okay, like, y'all have been groomed into accepting mediocrity over the past 20 years because we threw out artists in development in the age of streaming, and because we have a lot of artists now who want a music career similar to like a 5-year-old spoiled ass rich kid wants a pony. A lot of y'all have been spoiled. A lot of y'all don't know what real talent is, and a lot of y'all don't know what to do with real talent and real work ethic. So when you see a Chloe Bailey, when you see a Beyonce, you're like, well, she's doing too much. I just don't understand why she gotta sing like that and just do dance and all of that. Like, she's just doing too much, which is exactly what she's supposed to do. That's exactly, when you think of a P-O-P star, you think of all of this. Michael Jackson did the same thing. And I don't like to compare the two because they're in two, like, I could do a whole musty deck about why you should not compare Michael Jackson to Beyonce, because it's just too different. It's too different. You know what I mean? But oh my God, this woman is talented. She is a dying breed. We will not see another woman like this ever in our lifetime. We will see iterations of it. I would say, like I said, Chloe Bailey is a peer of Beyonce. I also think that Tyla is a peer of Beyonce too. Like a combo of the two. Tyla, unfortunately, out of like Chloe, Victoria Monet, and Halle, is probably having the more successful R&B pop career. And I think a lot of the reasons have to do with like South African music is popular now. Afro beats, Afro pop music is really big right now. I also think it has a lot to do with you know, like her looks, you know, but also when you strip all of that away, she can sing, she can dance, she can sing and she can dance. Like, Tyla is not someone to be played with. And no, she absolutely was not an industry plant. So like, just throw that away. I remember Tyla in like 2019, how they were talking about, could she be the next Rihanna, when she was in A&D. All right. So she is absolutely not an industry plant. I remember, what was her name? Oh God, I forgot her name. Impressive was talking about Tyla and how she might take Rihanna's spot, which I don't think she'll ever be. Like, that just won't happen. But like, that's just not gonna happen. But like, you know, definitely a peer of Beyonce, definitely has a better singing career. But back to Beyonce real quick. Like, the way I remember, there was this, okay, I'm gonna be unpolitically correct for like 5 minutes, all right, because I gotta clock some shit. Okay, there was this dude in my high school, laden with acne, not attractive at all, fat, That's my political correctness, okay? Not to fat shame, but it's just in context, right? Republican in the way that, like, my daddy's a doctor type of Republican, not like pull your like lower middle class Republican. It's a different breed, right? And I remember him talking about attractive girls. And the attractive girl around 2010, because country was doing really well, like the Antebellum and all of that. But it was Miranda Lambert in like the 2010s. And all the dudes thought this girl was like the most attractive thing ever. Okay, hold on. Maybe like 2008. Everyone thought Miranda Lambert was like so hot. Like, she was like super hot, super attractive. I think she did that one song with Carrie Underwood that really got her off and running. I'm sorry, like, don't shit on me for saying this, but looks wise, I never really saw the appeal in a Miranda Lambert. Like, I just never did. Like, Carrie Underwood made sense, but Miranda Lambert did not for me, right? But like, them white boys love them some Miranda Lambert. Okay, so we got this overweight teenage boy laden with acne, my daddy's a doctor type of Republican, gooning over Miranda Lambert like he actually has a fucking chance. Gooning over this girl like he actually has like, you actually think Miranda Lambert is gonna like give okay. And so I ask him a question. I'm like, okay, so you think Miranda Lambert's hot? Do you think Beyonce's hot? And the look of disgust when I asked this kid, do you think Beyonce's hot? The look of disgust and him just crossing his arms, just like, no. I was just like, girl, what is wrong with you? Like, he said that with his whole chest. And I'm like you really think you have a chance with her? With Miranda Lambert, one, Beyonce, two, like, girl. The best litmus test to see if motherfuckers are problematic. Okay, let me just be real. The best litmus test to see if folks are problematic. Okay, ask them about one of the 3 celebrities and movies. Okay, their thoughts on Beyonce, their thoughts on Meg Thee Stallion. I lied, 4. Their thoughts on Taylor Swift, because that'll put things into perspective, right? They'll put things into perspective, right? Because it's either you like both or you like one more than the other, and then you have respect for the other, right? Like, I like Beyonce more, but I have respect for Taylor's work ethic, even though there's some weird stuff going on right now with her. Or you like Taylor more, but you can't stand Beyonce, right? If you are on the far end of I like Taylor more, but I can't stand Beyonce, okay, you're probably dealing with a bigot, right? And then the last one is, how do you feel about the Sinners movie? I don't know why, because that movie was critically acclaimed, got absolutely 100% on Rotten Tomatoes. And so if you don't like the Sinners movie, you are either going through some version of spiritual psychosis, or you are just a bigot. Like, there's no in between, right? But that's the litmus test to tell if somebody's a bigot, problematic, racist, or any of that. Like, you ask them about those 4 things. And then I guess for like more of like a white leaning audience, you can ask about Meghan Markle. But like, it's not like I don't care for Meghan Markle. Like, I like her, but it's just like, I don't really care for royal family drama. You know what I mean? Like, it just doesn't, like, when okay, so I know Heaven is from the UK, so with all due respect, sorry, but when the Queen of England passed away, I was just like, I mean, what did she do anyway? Like, other than hoard tax dollars to fund her castle in unnecessary organizations and campaigns. Like, I feel like Princess Diana was doing a little bit more. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. But that's a litmus test. That's a good litmus test. One of my childhood friends who really wasn't into Beyonce's music was always like, I gave her, like, I let her listen to a couple songs from Cowboy Carter, and she's like a big country fan, and she's like, you know, I like 16 carriages, but this isn't really my thing, you know? Like, those people are chill. But if there is like a visceral hatred that swells up into somebody whenever they just see Beyonce existing, and if it carries into Illuminati confirmed nonsense, if it carries into Beyonce is an innocent type of nonsense, if it carries into like that fake progressive type of conversation where they have everything to say about Beyonce being a capitalist but nothing to say about how Taylor or any of these other billionaires are capitalists either, that it tells you all you need to know about them as a person. Okay, they are not like they have a vendetta against Beyonce, because I feel like someone like a Beyonce just shines light to, one, how excellent a woman of color can be when all the things are working right. You know, like when you have talent, when you have a family that feeds into your talent, and then when you have a family that also, and a mother and father who understands the business of the industry, and when you have that same mother and father that is willing to protect you from the harmful things of the industry, the harmful interactions, the harmful exploitations of the industry. Unfortunately, Chloe and Halle Bailey do not have that, which is why Halle Bailey, unfortunately, our good sis fell when she fooled around with DDG a little bit. I don't know what's going on with Chloe, but it feels like the management is just not managing the way it really needs to for them to both take off. You know what I mean? But unfortunately, a lot of the girls nowadays, they don't have the same protections that a Beyonce has. They don't have a Tina and Matthew Knowles the way Beyonce has. A lot of them don't even have the work ethic either. So you have no Tina and Matthew Knowles, no work ethic. A lot of them don't have the vocal cords. And so they're just like out alone, like clinging on to like whoever is going to give them a chance. Some willing to be desperate, right? Like Beyonce, like it's not just that like Beyonce was talented and scooped up and people gave her the world. No, it was like a way more intricate, a whole business, a whole brand that went behind her that worked in her favor. Okay. And that worked in her family's favor. You know, which I have some theories about, conspiracy theories, but I'm not gonna really talk about them. But it's just artists like her are so underrated and deserve so much, and are so underrated. And when they were coming up, now they're not underrated anymore. Like some would argue she's overrated, but like people don't understand that like she really, like, every time I watched the Beyonce Experience tour, I was getting tired, because not only was there just hooting and hollering, because we know Miss Giselle loves to hoot and holler and be loud. I love it, loud and controlled, because she is a vocalist, right? But also she's dancing and she's doing choreography and she's running and she's competing with the trombone and she's jumping and she's doing back handsprings. Well, she's not doing back handsprings, but you get, like, it's just a lot going on. It's like, what did Monique say? Beyonce. Okay, girl, like I got tired watching her. I was exhausted. I was like, wait, slow down. Oh my God. You know, and then the set changes, how she had like some like Broadway influences. I didn't know that when she did Ring the Alarm, she was like referencing or pulling from Cell Block Tango. I did not know that. From Chicago? Let me look that up real quick. Let me look that up while I have my web camera on. Okay. Ring the Alarm, Cell Block Tango. Hopefully I can get it. But in that tour, she like referenced this, like but in the tour, okay, so I don't have an actual picture, but she was like referencing the Cell Block Tango in the tour. You know what I mean? Broadway backwards. I guess this is with dudes. Okay, I fucks with it. All right. But yeah, like she just was like pulling from Broadway. She had a set change with Dreamgirls. She had some songs from Dreamgirls in that. Like, this tour was amazing, and I was tired and I was exhausted, and it felt earned. Like, I was allowed to feel tired and exhausted. Like, I didn't feel like, okay, like, why are you doing the most, you know? For no reason. Like, nothing requires for you to do all of that for no reason, right? So yeah, shout out to Miss Giselle. I really, like I said, I don't think she needs to be be floating around on horseshoes and floating around on Cadillacs in order to prove that she's beyond. Like, she really don't need to do that, but I know she does that because she's extra. And that's just how she rolls. But it's just like, I know that in the Cowboy Carter tour, they have taken out the 16 carriages bit. And that's fine. That's like, she don't need to do all that. Like, she can sit down if she really wants to. She can sit down and sing and have all the dancers around her just carry her across the arena. Like, I'm so sorry. Or the stadium. Like, she doesn't need to be floating around in cars that are gonna break off. Like, I'm so sorry that happened to her. Okay, moving on. Okay, so I want to talk about this new indie animated series I found on YouTube called Guys Next Door. Let me see if I can go to... Okay, so this is the new show that I watched. I watched the first episode. Apparently, it's created by Eric Kaplan. Whoa! I don't. And he's responsible for Futurama, The Big Bang Theory, and Crapopolis. I've never seen Crapopolis, but I do know of The Big Bang Theory. Honestly, I'm not really a fan of The Big Bang Theory. But I also know of Futurama. But this show is good. I liked it. It was funny. And I like how this seems like it's a pitch, right? To be like picked up by like a major company. I don't know if y'all know this, but indie animation is having a moment where a lot of people are relying on indie animation. Like, they're just posting their shows on YouTube, and then like years later, it'll probably be picked up by like a streaming network or a streaming service. And while they post on YouTube, they have Patreons for their backers to support. They might have a Kickstarter so that they can keep making episodes. It's one of the reasons why Has Been Hotel was able to take off the way it did for a minute. Or what was it? Hell of a Boss was able to stay afloat. It's because Viv has a Patreon where people, like, backers pay for her to keep creating episodes. Same with Lackadaisy Cats. But no, this show is really good. I really liked Guys Next Door. It's really funny. It's about these assassins who meet roommates in LA and they build a relationship together. And I like the art style. It's very fun. It's very Tumblr to me, but like in a fun way. And I hope they come out with more episodes. I hope they get onto a streaming network because I think the idea is pretty clever. Like the assassins, like you have like this girl boss empowerment assassin in the middle, right? Then you have like this muscle boy assassin at the end, and then you got like the lead dude. Then you got like this metrosexual roommate. Then you got like this average Joe roommate who has a crush on this woman roommate who's like a content creator. She calls herself a content creator, but really, girl, she's a scammy ass influencer. It's really funny. I think you guys should give it a chance. It's very creative. And I also like want to make a point about like animation in the current landscape, because it's been really, really difficult with the push for AI, with people who are not really familiar with the industry finger wagging and warning artists to say like their career is over, that they're like AI is going to take their jobs. Like, why would you even get into a job like art? And like, to an extent, AI might displace a good chunk of jobs, right? But I think as AI is evolving, and we saw this last week when we talked about the AI influencer and how uncanny valley it looked, I think a lot of people are yearning for authenticity, and they're yearning for something to be said, nothing to be too formulaic, something that means a lot to them, that has more to say, right? And I think that while Guys Next Door isn't like some serious esoterical show, it does a really good job in just being quirky and different and not like run-of-the-mill like adult humor, you know what I mean? Like, it's just unique in its own special way. It also has like a very modern take and modern commentary off of people who live in LA and the type of personalities that you'll deal with, you know, like the relatable meets the unrelatable, almost lethal. And I like that. And I like how indie animation is changing from wanting to wanting to pitch their stories to streaming services or networks, to cutting out the middleman and just coming out with the show themselves and having enough backers and enough popularity to where people will just support them regardless. You know what I mean? So yeah, I love that. I do. All right, so that's that on that. Y'all should probably see Guy Next Door. It's a really good show, and support indie animation, I guess. So yeah, wanted to talk about that. All right, next thing that's on my mind. Next thing that is on my mind, that has been on my mind for years. Okay, here's some more excess lore. I used to be a cosplayer, right? I used to be a very nerdy girl. I still watch anime. Didn't really play a lot of video games, but like read comics and stuff. Like I used to be that girl, okay? Apparently at DreamCon, there were some men who were mad because of the sexy cosplayers that were there. Okay. Saying that they were doing it for attention, that they're not really into the anime, that they are out here dressed inappropriately. And why would they dress inappropriately if they don't want to be touched, if they don't want people to approach them, if they don't want guys being weird towards them, right? Like, okay, let me just start off, okay? And you know, Cole and I, Heaven and I were talking about this, okay? We were having a conversation about this early on, about this guy right here and grape culture and how it works. All right, grape culture and assault isn't just like innocent woman is walking on the street and gets kidnapped and put into a van and gets assaulted and kicked out, or worse, unalived, murdered, and all. That's not what grape culture is. Grape culture starts before the graping even happens. It's the entitlement, it's the expectations, it's the lack of couth, it's the lack of understanding that some of y'all's crusty ass sons be having, especially in spaces that have been deemed and coined as safe spaces for everybody to be involved in. Okay, this argument that a lot of musty dusties men have about and a few pick-me's have about cosplay girls or cosplayers or e-girls or whatever isn't anything new. We were having the same conversation some 10 years ago when I first started cosplaying, okay? Self-control is always great. Having self-control when you see something that is something or someone that is attracted to you, right? But also, more importantly, understanding that some people don't do things for the pleasure of you, or to tease you, or to antagonize you, and that what people do on their own free time, how they express the character, how they cosplay, how they choose to express their love of the fandom, what they do. Mm-hmm. What they do isn't revolving so much around making you feel comfortable or seeking attention. Okay? Why in 2025 are we having the same think piece musty dissertations about, or conversations about, sexy cosplay girls wearing a sexy cosplay and why it makes everybody uncomfortable and they shouldn't do that, and why would they do that if they don't want attention, and why would they dress sexy if they didn't want people to look at them a certain way, and blah blah blah, all this stuff. Like, why are we still having this? Like, we've been here before, okay? We've had this conversation before. I'm getting tired having this conversation. I should not have to break it down to you Barney style, Playhouse Disney, Mickey Mouse Clubhouse style as to why cute cosplay girls dressed in sexy cosplays do not owe you jack shit. If you feel away, when you feel away because they are getting attention, or people are looking at them, or people want to take pictures with them, and you shouldn't be perturbed or have an upset spirit or stomach or whatever when you see said sexy cosplay girl minding her business, cute cosplay girl minding her business in her costume at a convention where you're not the only one that said convention is catering to. A lot of the arguments I hear about men, like, okay, and so Bubble Bass is like the proxy dude that always has this conversation. They literally look like Bubble Bass, or Bubble Bass's equivalent, or like a second cousin to Bubble Bass, right? Like, they look like this. And the people who always complain about this are so worried about other girls that they forget to wash their own ass. It's always going to be somebody's musty son 3 days into a convention with an unwashed ass getting angry at the cute cosplay girl who has probably washed her ass plenty of times, more than can count, probably knows what soap is, acknowledges that Dr. Bronner's exists, right? They're always the ones that are saying, ew, you whore, stop seeking attention for dressing up sexy, right? They're always the ones that have to say that, right? Why are you dressing sexy? Why are you garnering attention? Oh, another one that they like to say, my favorite is, she's not even in an anime like that. She's just doing it for attention. She doesn't even know the character like that. She doesn't even know the seasons or the arcs like that. She doesn't know what happened in season 10 of episode 575 where the... Oh, I don't watch One Piece. I'm not even going to make a One Piece reference. But like, you know what I mean? It's those people, those dudes that get angry and are just like, you're a whore, you're a slut. Why are you wearing this sexy costume? Mind you, the sexy costume in question is this. Which I would like to ask, what is so sexy about a Spider-Girl outfit? Like, yes, it's a little skin tight, right? But why is your initial thought to, like, sexualize this girl? Because it really does. It starts with, okay, there are some costumes out here, like Granny Psycho from Dadadan, or, you know, some of the One Piece characters, like with unrealistic body proportions. Like, it starts with that, right? Where you start, or like even like Emma Frost, her outfit's a little bit sexy. And like even before Emma Frost was in Marvel Rivals, like she's always had like sex appeal to her, right? Like, it starts off with like critiquing that, with being like, well, why are you dressing up as these super sexy anime characters? I really don't understand. Like it's so inappropriate. Like, nobody wants to see that. Like, you just want attention. Like, it starts there. Right? Where it's like blatantly sexy. Like, if you're not careful, you can like side with them and be like, yeah, you are doing the most, right? But then it like ends here. Yeah, it ends here, which, like, I ask, what is so sexy about this? And mind you, the people, like, the men who go online and complain about sexy cosplayers, right? The men who go online and complain about that, they're not, like, attacking Lily Pie, I think is her name. Like, they're not doing that, right? But they are starting off attacking the girls who are clearly doing a not safe for work cosplay. And then they end up attacking the girls who are doing more safe for work cosplays than you're willing to admit. Because it is that's how grape culture works. It's a cyclical thing. And it really isn't. Really, it never really was about what the girl was wearing. It was everything about this cute girl that's probably not paying me any attention, is getting all of this attention for being cute in a girl, which, like, you know, if you're a dude and you cosplay, you can be cute in a dude and gain attention, right? But, you know, being cute in a girl is getting all of this attention and swaying the attention away from me, a true nerd, a real nerd, who's not new to this, but true to this, who actually has read all the comics, who's actually watched all the episodes, who's actually, you know, knows what this convention is, who's actually used to run this shit. And now I'm going toe to toe with a hot cosplay girl who actually really does, like, maybe she fucks with Spider-Man, maybe she's read all the comics, maybe she's a fan of the movies. There's no way to get into the Marvel fandom, mind you, especially Spider-Man. Spider-Man is that fandom that everybody fucks with. Like, I didn't even know it, but like a lot of people really rock with Spider-Man, especially neurospicy people. They love that dude. Good for y'all, all right? I like Spider-Man too, okay? But it's like, you know, all the attention you garnered from being an outcast and being into these like super niche nerd spaces where you got to run shit, you got to be the king of it all. Now it's going back to the cute e-girl who's dressed up as the cosplayer, right? Now it's going back to her who's wearing the Spider-Man cosplay. And now it never really was about that. Emma Frost cosplay is too sexy. That Nami cosplay is a little too much. That Granny Psycho cosplay, yeah, I don't really know about that. That lewd version you did of a character, it never really was about that, because now you're gonna start targeting girls who are wearing Spider-Man costumes. And that's really what it's all about. It never really was about you being genuinely concerned about girly pops who are dressed sexy, and has everything to do with you angry that girly pops are getting more attention for seeming sexy or being attractive that you will never get in your life, in a space that you fought and scratched to find some sort of hierarchy, to situate yourself in a way where you are higher than everybody else in that space. You know, DreamCon, this happened a lot apparently, and this isn't let the record show that I'm not shitting on DreamCon, okay? I'm not shitting on DreamCon, but this is something I've noticed based off of seeing some of DreamCon, just kind of seeing what they do. If cons like MomoCon are for the nerdy, geek, blurred people who have like tumblers of their favorite anime character ships and have extensive fan art of their favorite anime characters, you know, of their favorite fandoms, where it's perfectly okay for you to see a group of furries in one space taking a group picture, then seeing people do like a full-blown K-pop choreography of their favorite K-pop idol band in another corner, then seeing like somebody, I actually saw this at MomoCon one year, someone like all the way in like the trenches of the MomoCon floor, making a Gundam model. Like if MomoCon is that, it feels like DreamCon is where all the cool anime nerds go. And by cool, I mean that you had social skills. You had social skills. You probably played like sports when you were younger, so you knew how to socialize at an early age. Like, you weren't just like chronically online like I was, or like a lot of like anime nerds were. And you were able to balance being like the cool guy or the cool girl, and then also liking anime and having that be your weird hyperfixation. You know what I mean? That's what DreamCon kind of gives me. It also gives me like streamer bro vibes a little bit, which I have my opinions on that, right? Like especially the way they handled the Meg Thee Stallion thing, where Megan was about to go, like she was gonna guest at DreamCon, and then a lot of stuff came out on the DreamCon account of them shitting on Meg because the whole Tory thing spurred up again to antagonize her with evidence that came out like years ago. right? And so DreamCon had to issue an apology because I don't know who on marketing and management or on Twitter or wherever was just okay with having a lot of these Tory apologizers on their Twitter account, right? But it just feels like DreamCon doesn't feel safe for someone like me. And it might be safe for, like, again, the casual anime nerd. But I feel like I would go to DreamCon and guys who, I don't know, watch Naruto once or the big three, right? Feel entitled and take up space and complain and don't know proper con etiquette as to why a cute girl is allowed to dress how she wants to, and are starting these think piece talking points of like, well, why are you wearing that sexy cosplay? Because it starts there at the scantily clad cosplay, and then it absolutely ends with a girl wearing like a Kiki's Delivery Service cosplay. And it's like, well, I don't know, she looked at me weird. I don't know, she basically asked for it. The dress is too small. It's policing women's bodies, okay? It's policing women's bodies, and it's gatekeeping a space that I guess you felt entitled to, maybe because you didn't fit in, maybe because you didn't have access to girls or whatever. And so instead of like unpacking the why behind girls get to do whatever they want and be interested in the same things you are, you just shit on them and blame women. You know what I mean? So anyway, Cole says, every example you brought up is so valid. They keep asking the same questions because the trash men in their lives keep telling them women dress up for, dress up for their attention. See, Cole, and this has a lot to do with like how patriarchy works. Like I'm tired of sugarcoating it, right? It's patriarchy. Like it is like an ingrained, like the older I get, the more I realize that it is an ingrained it's an ingrained way of living that has been constantly preached to by young boys and young girls alike, that they have to be a part of and they have to be accepted by, right? Like it's someone's father or not, or friends, okay? Because, you know, a lot of fathers aren't in the home anymore, unfortunately. Probably sat up there and said, this girl was basically asking for it. She wants attention. Why would she wear something like that? When it never really was about this. It never is going to be about this. Like, why are we still asking in 2025, well, what is she wearing? Like, if she didn't want that attention, she should not be wearing that. It doesn't have to do with attention. Because the same thing happens in the gym, right? I don't know what it is about these gym bros, like, freaking out and crashing out because girls are wearing, like, leggings that make their ass look good, and they'd be like, well, they need to put clothes on, or you just need to mind your business, right? Like it's a problem. Anything femme is hated, which is why they think Chloe Bailey does the most. She hasn't done anything wilder than other legendary performers. Madonna, bish, hello. Yeah, okay, so Cole's going back to Beyonce real quick. Yeah, I think also, like I said, and we'll get to it later on, I also think that Chloe Bailey is underappreciated, mostly because she doesn't have like the support that she needs. But also I think it's because of what we're used to mediocrity. And I'll get to it in a bit. But like we have been able to gas up mediocrity for so long that we see someone like a Chloe Bailey and we don't know what to do with her, in my opinion. Going back to the cute girl in cosplay minding her business and somebody's musty son 3 days into the convention with an unwashed ass. It's almost always this guy, right? He hasn't washed his ass, okay? At all. Smelling up the whole con floor. Okay, I've seen it with my eyes, okay? Always has something to say about a girl like this. And I'm kind of tired of it because we've had, like I said, we've talked about this before. We've had these conversations before. And it's just very tiring to have us discuss this constantly, that you need to develop more couth. I think one dude was even trying to say that girls dress up like in sexy cosplays for attention. They don't even watch the anime at all. And that you were also not checking for me when I was in high school. And you were into my interest, and now you're all of a sudden into my interest for attention. And anime and manga and all, first of all, it's really the other way around. Like, a lot of these girly pops, like me, for example, no one was checking for me when I was a kid, when I was in high school, in the corner of the room, the classroom, drawing my Sonic OCs. No one was checking for me. Okay, I was a weirdo. I was weird. Everyone would look at me and be like, "There's the weirdo X's drawing her Sonic OC. Like, what is she even drawing? Why would she even draw that?" Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just such a weird take, and such an entitled take, to just assume that girls are only there to have interest in what you're into, for the sole purpose of capturing your attention. It's a very entitled, it's a very socially conditioned, like, women do everything in the name of men type of argument. Right. And I will admit that there are some times where I've seen, or I have actually done things because, you know, I want men to think I'm like this cool, edgy, manic pixie dream girl. But I deconstructed that. I deconstructed that a long time ago, and now I could care less. Like, I'm into what I'm into, and I'm not into what I'm not into. And, you know, you can be as manic pixie dream girl as you want to, right? But if a man feels threatened by you, or does not like you, or is not a fan of you, toxic guys, mind you, they will make it known one way or another, whether they're trying to be a nice guy or not. So I want y'all to keep that in mind. All right. Now, the same issue that we're talking about now is going on with comic book and video game characters, right? We have had original content come out lately. We've had comic and video games. They are finally creating new POCs and characters and stories. What has always been the like argument that a lot of a lot of Gamergate adjacent dudes talk about on social media is that they are sick and tired of the race bending. They're sick and tired of the colorblind casting of reboots where they are race bending characters who are originally white. And their argument has been, well, why can't we just come up with original characters? Like, why can't we just make original, interesting characters of color? Why do we have to race bend characters? There was, when The Little Mermaid was coming out, this was a big conversation. This was a huge conversation as Halle Bailey was being casted. And I remember there was a girl on YouTube that made a big stink about it and said the reason why people don't like The Little Mermaid is because, you know, we want original characters. We want Black people to be seen in stories that are of their own and that are original, you know? And so you have pieces of media like South of Midnight, a video game with a Black character who kind of talks about like New Orleans lore, you know, New Orleans urban legends and stuff like that. Completely original. And you have Ironheart, a rebooted character, which I would argue technically is like race bent, but like not really. Like, she's just taking on the mantle of Iron Man. She's not really like, we're redoing Iron Man, you know, or like Teen Titans live action, and then a Black woman is playing Starfire. Which, oh girl, where were you when that happened? Y'all were pissed. Y'all were angry. I was a little angry too, because this Party City wig was not it. But y'all were pissed when Miss Anna Diop came out as a Starfire. Y'all did not know how to take that. That shit was weird to me. That shit was so weird. So weird. Anyway, yeah, so you have Ironheart, this new original story about Ironheart, the new Iron Man that's supposed to take on the mantle, right? And so we're all over here minding our business, and apparently like both pieces of media are like really, really good, right? And so then over here you got the Gamergate adjacent dude, somebody's musty, unemployed son that consumes too much racist red pill content and doesn't utilize that same time to do something useful, like actually find a job for once, right? Who says, why do all the characters gotta be black? I can't relate to this because they're black women. Slop. Because I can't see myself in that. Slop. I can't relate. As if media and entertainment has everything to do about you. Okay. What did Asmund Gold say about South of Midnight? He said he didn't like it. I guess because maybe he wasn't attracted to the main character of the video game. Same people are foaming at the mouth because of Ironheart, because there is a black woman that's like the new Iron Man or whatever, with her own original show that apparently is very good. I'm gonna go watch it with my boyfriend probably after this. But I guess I have a question, right? Here's my question. When are y'all gonna say it with your chest? When are you actually gonna say with your whole chest, your whole diaphragm? Okay? You're a racist piece of shit. Like, when are you gonna say that? When are you gonna just say, I don't want to see any POC characters, I don't want to see any black people, I don't want to see any Asian people, I don't want to see any Hispanic people, I only want to see those people if they look, fuckable. And then I also don't want to see those people that do look fuckable in my spaces, where I know for a fact in real life I will never be able to attain them at all. I will never be able to attain them at all, because they're actual persons with people with thoughts and feelings, and they're not video game characters that I can create disgusting sexual fantasies out of, that because I'm attracted to. Like, when are you just going to be honest about your real true intentions? Why do we keep jumping through hoops to try and explain why we are racist or bigots when it comes to video games, and when it comes to comic book characters, and when it comes to these original stories that are being made? Sinners was an original story. Again, it's a litmus test. If you don't like Sinners, that tells me everything. That if you have a visceral hatred towards Sinners, not if you don't like Sinners, you don't have to like the movie, right? But if you have a visceral hatred towards Sinners and you do not have any inkling of spiritual psychosis, that tells me all I need to know about you as a person. That tells me all that I need to know. If you were on the brigade of Black Panther, and why are there so many black people and no white people? When it's like literally set in Wakanda, which is set in Africa, where, like, gasp, so many white people are from. That tells me so many black people are from, excuse me. That tells me all that I need to know about you as a person. Okay? That tells me everything that I need to know about you as a person. It was never, ever, 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 ever really about the South of Midnight not being good. That the POC characters and stories that are out are not original or not good. It has everything to do with you just don't like seeing people of color in those spaces. So, like, say it with your chest. First of all, find a job. Right? Stop being unemployed and feral on the internet. It never does anybody any good. Find a job. Do something useful. Self-actualize for real. Get off the red pill. Get off of Gamergate, Twitter. Okay? Like, just I don't know. Like, worry about yourself. You don't have to like something. I'm not like demanding that you like South of Midnight or Ironheart or any of the new black shows that are out. I also am not demanding for you to do like this really fake progressive, like, oh, this show is amazing, I love it. Like, I'm not demanding that you do that either, right? But what I am demanding, what I am asking is that if you have these strong feelings towards things, pieces of media or pieces of content that don't inherently have like a white male lead or a seemingly attractive person, a character for the white male gaze, then just say that I don't like it because it doesn't have a white guy in it, and it's not a cute Asian girl that I can impose my sick fantasies on, right? Like just say that, instead of getting mad at South of Midnight because it's not original enough, or you don't think it's good enough, or you don't understand why the lead has to look that way. Mad at Ironheart because, you know, it's a new character, but like, why does she have to be black? It's a woke agenda. Stop using woke, okay? Stop using woke like you're the victim, first of all. Just stop, right? Or even like that one video game with Sabrina the Teenage Witch. Hold on. Let me put on my webcam because I know who I'm trying to look for. The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina. But that one video game of that girl, she's bald and she's the lead, and people were like mad because she wasn't attractive enough. I think her name was Tati Gabriel. Yeah, Tati Gabriel video game. Yeah, Intergalactic, the Heretic Prophet. Like, y'all out here being mad and angry because this girl doesn't look fuckable to you. When it, like, video games don't always, like first of all, you're not the only one that plays video games, right? Like, you'll be okay, right? But like, you know, I think she's fuckable. Sorry, but like, not to like sexualize her, okay? Like, I don't want to sexualize her. Sometimes video games are not always going to be pandering towards you or be for you to enjoy or be for you to goon after, or position you in a way where you can live vicariously through the character. Sometimes you have to give up that space, okay? And it's gonna be okay, because there's a plethora of other movies and content and video games that are meant for you specifically, are meant for your audience. So just say it with your chest, okay? Just say that, you know, you're just angry because black people exist, okay? Or people of color exist, all right? Or, you know, the sexy girl that you wanted in the video game doesn't exist. The sexy girl, according to your standards, does not exist. Just say that, all right? But unfortunately, we're here. Unfortunately, we're here where there's a lot of men who feel moved and compelled to think this way, who feel entitled. I don't know what that means for the future of entertainment, because now they have like a whole list. They have like a whole like list of video games that they want to avoid based off of like fascist viewpoints. Like, I'm not even kidding. Like, literally people are making a whole ass video game list of games not to play based off of like fascist viewpoints. Like, people don't want to play Until Dawn because there's like an interracial dating scene between like the mixed race guy and the Asian girl. We can't have that. Like, it's getting out of hand. It's getting weird. It's giving video game Nazi, okay? Weird. All right. Moving on. So why am I mentioning these things right now? Like, why am I discussing these things about like angry bitter men going off about cute cosplay girls at DreamCon or at other conventions, and then also we have original characters that are being made in series, and again, angry men getting upset because they're not characters that I guess they can enjoy in some way, shape, or form. Where am I going with this, right? I feel like the internet honestly is trolling black women for sport. Like, I feel like they're just doing this type of shit to just get us angry and upset, and they're doing it for sport. To garner an emotion, okay? And I would like to say, for them to just leave us alone. Like, I would like for them to leave us alone. But I also know that they're not going to leave me alone. They're not going to leave women like me alone. They bank off of being antagonistic towards us. And I have a theory. It's because a lot of Black women who are online, we know how to congregate, we know how to build community, we know how to make movements, whether it is in person and we're protesting, or whether it's some version of online activism, or whether it's like some sort of movement. Think about like this recent year, a couple of years, and the plethora of movements that Black women have fallen into. Black women in luxury, the feminine women empowerment spaces. We even created our own pill, pink pill, in the cosplay space. There was a Black femme that came up with 28 days of Black cosplay to celebrate Black History Month, and the intersectionality of Black cosplayers, since they're very underrepresented. Black women know how to make movements, know how to congregate, know how to make community. And I feel like a big theory that I've had on the about like the current internet landscape is that they are trolling Black women for sport, to piss us off, to keep us demoralized, to keep us angry. They are encroaching spaces of Black men to have like some of this rhetoric of like trying to humble us and keep us angry and pissed off. They are doing all of these things, I guess, to break away the community, the potential community that we can build. Okay, that's why they're doing these things. And honestly, to that I say, if this is happening, I think we as Black women need to understand what's going on, that a lot of this stuff is rage bait to keep us angry, to keep us distracted by like what's really happening, to keep us invested, to keep us wanting to fight for things and fight for people who would never fight for us. I don't know. But misogynoir is literally profitable. They've cracked the code. Cole says that misogynoir is literally profitable and they've cracked the code. Absolutely. That's the number one way that's the number one way on how you can break the Black community up. Honestly, but misogynoir needs to be unpacked and debunked, because like, let's just call a thing. We coddle Black sons, we raise Black daughters, and we need to stop doing that. We will hold and hug and support and uplift our Black sons, but Black daughters do not get the same grace. I think it was the last week when I talked about my 22-year-old step cousin not being able to date and going absolutely batshit crazy. At 22, not being able to date, diabolical. Anyway, just be safe, Black women. Okay, Black women and femmes, please be safe, because the internet is trying to troll us. They're trying to divide us. They're trying to heighten our emotions. They're trying to keep us angry. Every single clipped scene of a podcast with a dude with so much gumption and gall and so much conviction and literally no experience talking about like something antagonistic towards Black women. Every time a dude wants to come for Black women in media and entertainment and try to downplay her, right? Anytime Black woman just wants to have fun and just wants to cosplay or enjoy the interest that she's genuinely into, like Meg Thee Stallion and all the anime that she watches, right? Or this lovely lady here. Even like when Aiden Ross like aggressively went at Doechii, which always sends me, because a dude like Aiden Ross, remember when he went at Doechii for the Met Gala and said that she wasn't a good rapper and that she's trash and an industry plant and was a complete bitch at the Met Gala and all of that? It just feels like there's like a warfare going on around Black women to demoralize us in our spirits. And I just want us, I'm not going to tell us to be strong, because it's we're allowed to be vulnerable and have vulnerabilities and say this hurts us, but I just want us to be aware of what's going on. Okay, Black women and femmes, all right, I'll be aware of like us being antagonized. And I would say don't be so quick to put in your 2 cents when it happens. You know what I mean? These things, I was actually supposed to talk about like both of these things like last week, but I never got around to it because I spent like 3 hours talking about boomer parenting, right? But I had to let that out. Like I had to explain this to you guys that like these things are like happening repetitively, and I feel like bigots and racists are moving in a way, and misogynists are moving in a way where they're not outright saying the racist, bigoted, and misogynistic stuff. They're just like keeping it on the low key and just hiding it with, well, we want original stories. Well, you're not even into this anime character anyway. Well, so why are you cosplaying them? Well, what you are wearing is a little inappropriate. Well, Doechii was a little bit of a bitch at the Met Gala, and it does feel like she is an industry plant. They're antagonizing us. You gotta be aware. The next time we see somebody come out on a podcast and say how Black women aren't submissive enough, and we're not this, and we're not that, and we're not this, and that. The next time that happens, just like block them, because they just want attention. I think there was like, what was it, an Asian woman who said that like Black women's kitty cats, like coochies, are like built differently because Black guys' schlongs are bigger, and so like Black women's cats are like deeper. I don't know, just weird stuff to antagonize us. Just be aware, be cognizant, and move on about your day. People are so desperate for a moment that they're willing to say anything and do anything in order to get there, even if it's be loud and wrong, look stupid on the internet, and antagonize a group of people. Be aware, okay? All right, ignore the bubble bastards of the world that are unemployed and don't know how to wash their ass at a convention. All right, now we're moving into like some music and pop culture, and this is a rant. This is going back into Beyonce, right? I talked about how Beyonce deserves her flowers, how she's an amazing performer, how she's really good at what she does, how there's no one doing it like Beyonce, and there never will be. I also mentioned how there are peers of Beyonce who study Beyonce, who understand what she's about, what makes her good, and they try to do their own thing or their own spin on it, right? I want to address something about some of Beyonce's peers. I mentioned that Chloe Bailey is one of Beyonce's peers. I think that not really Halle, like she has some of it, but like vocally is where she shines. I think I mentioned Tyla might be one of Beyonce's peers. Blue Ivy on the tour is doing a great thing, like doing really big things. Miss Blue is absolutely like Beyonce's A1 peer. I also noticed Victoria Monet as being Beyonce's peer. The mic is on when Victoria Monet performs. The mic is all the way on when Victoria Monet performs and sings and dances. And look at her little daughter turning away. That's cute. But yeah, Victoria Monet is that girl. She's that girl. She can perform, she can sing, she can dance. She's the reason why Ariana Grande came out with her Seven Rings era. Like, she wrote a lot of Ariana Grande songs. And I would argue before Sabrina Carpenter was doing like the 70s aesthetic, and before Ariana Grande was doing it, I feel like Victoria Monet was like resting in that 70s retro mod aesthetic. Like, that's like her avenue, right? I like me some Victoria Monet. But also there are some Caucasian ladies out here now that I would argue are one of Beyonce's peers. Okay. Renee Rapp, vocally, like, she always is hyping up Beyonce, but vocally, yeah, she can sing really well. Renee Rapp can sing really well. I'm not going to spend too much time on her. But like, I don't know. My thing about Renee is that she's too good of a singer to be coming out with songs like Leave Me Alone. That's all I'm going to say. But more specifically, going back to Zara Larsson. Zara Larsson has been around for a minute, okay? I didn't even know she was as young as she actually is. Because I remember seeing her in like 2017 with Lush Summer. I live my life as if it was my last, like this song, Lush Life, right? And as of recently, she still is performing. Hold on. Okay. Cole, I will address that comment in a minute because I'm going to explain to you why that would not happen. Okay. So, Zara Larsson is underappreciated. I do think that Zara Larsson is a peer of Beyonce. She has said that Beyonce is her idol, and you can kind of see like some of that. I'm not saying that Zara Larsson is, like, can go toe to toe with Beyonce. I'd never say that, right? But you can kind of see that, like, in the way that she performs, and the way that she dances, and the way that she sings, and the way that she carries herself, is that she is probably one of the better pop stars, right? I remember watching her Poster Girl concert that she did for YouTube, and she did such a good job. She could dance, she could sing. The mic was on. She was doing splits and the mic was on. The mic was on while she was doing splits. And she's come out with a song called Midnight Sun, which from what my understanding is like hearkening to like Scandinavian 90s pop. And it's also like her giving her fans what they want with the song that she originally came out with called Symphony. And so she's doing Midnight Sun, and she's doing like some really excellent vocal work in this song, and it is underappreciated. And every time I look at this Midnight Sun music video, I think, and this is a spicy take, Zara Larsson. This is a really spicy take, but I think that this is what Addison Rae thinks that she's trying to do. But to me, it doesn't read as authentic. And I think it's because there is an attention to detail that I find that Zara Larsson is doing with this. Like, she's tapping into like that neon, like it looks like I took shrooms while like looking at this picture and watching the music video, right? But it's like this like neon color, and in the music video just like random imagery is popping up. I feel like I'm on a website, and like a poorly built website from like 2003 with like neon pop colors everywhere, like Lisa Frank almost, like, and it just works and it makes sense for how I guess Scandinavian pop music is supposed to sound. Y'all need to be hyping up Zara Larsson. Like, Zara Larsson is pretty talented. Like, she's pretty talented, and she's underappreciated, and it makes my stomach hurt. I don't like saying it upsets my spirit. I'm just going to start saying it makes my stomach hurt. I feel like it ages me like 10 years to say it upsets my spirit. And it sets up like people thinking that I don't know, I'm going to go through like a spiritual psychosis rant. Like, no, I'm not. But yeah, she's really good. Hopefully I can get employed so that I can see her on tour. But I just want to go into how Zara Larsson is underappreciated. And so Cole, we finally have got here. Okay. We have finally got to the point of talking about Jason Boone, Benson Boone, Tate McRae, Addison Rae, Gracie Abrams, all of these new age pop artists that it almost feels like they're trying to, I don't know, buy authenticity, buy a career. Like, their come up in success is just not really working for them, right? Like, y'all could have this and support this and be like, this is the standard, right? Like, no one's touching Zara, which no one is. And I still think there is some more time for like Zara to grow and develop. And I do have a theory that Western pop music might not be as big in the next decade or so, just with how things are going with America in general. But I also think that in lieu of having this, you guys are willing to prop this up. You're willing to prop up artists who are fiending and fighting for authenticity but just don't have it. Okay. In the middle, we have Tate McRae and Addison Rae. And I've already made this discussion. I had a discussion about this on my YouTube video about the two of them in my unpopular opinions, where I basically said that both Tate and Addison are two sides of the same coin. They're trying to fight for who can be the next Britney Spears. And for that reason, they are flopping miserably, okay? Because they're not being themselves. And when I mean flopping, like Addison Rae has been a little bit more successful. Have not listened to all of her album. I will admit, right? But I will say that I have listened to her singles, and we were there after, like, when Headphones came out, right? And then when she came out with Fame Is a Gun, I was like, and she tried to do the Lady Gaga aesthetic. I was like, I'm not really a fan, right? Tate McRae, I listened to her second album, or her third album in completion, and I got bored because it feels like they're making a carbon copy corporate version of what they think was hype in early 2003, right? Addison Rae is trying to do this weird seance so that she can be the next Britney Spears. It's not gonna work in her favor. Like, I don't, like, you know. Also, Addison Rae vocally isn't a good singer, and I've mentioned this before. It feels like the idea and the vision that Addison is coming up with isn't her own. And I've even fleshed this out even more by saying that it's not only is it not her own, but it also feels like she is like whoever is on her team decides to not work with her anymore, the whole brand will just fall apart. Like, she has a lot of producers like behind her. She's like hanging out with Charlie XCX and like her team. I don't know. It just feels like her come up just feels unoriginal. Like, in order for you to do like the weird pop girl thing that Addison is doing right now, inklings of that would have to show up early on in her TikTok career, and it just hasn't. So I just don't believe. And I feel like the weirdness that she is doing, right, is what Zara does very well and makes way more sense to me, because there's just so much more talent. There's so much more attention to detail. Like, it just feels like Addison has a good team. Okay. Gracie Abrams, I don't really know much about her except for That's So True, but I heard her sing live at Glastonbury and it sounded horrible. And I also found out that she's like JJ Abrams' daughter and like works closely with Taylor Swift. And so it's just like, okay, all right. So like I said, you can't buy a music career if you're not talented. All right. And then we have Benson Boone Cole. So we're here about Benson Boone. All right. I remember you said up here that Benson Boone was doing backflips in a onesie. Like, what song called for that? Right. We are in an age of like mediocre white male singers that will just yell into a microphone and think that that's doing something, while also taking heavy influence from Freddie Mercury, as if Freddie Mercury wasn't from Queen, as if Freddie Mercury wasn't like a super talented vocalist that really did not have to do all the screaming and gyrating and backflipping in order to garner attention. Like, he just had it. He had presence, right? Benson Boone's music isn't good. It's just not good. It's just not good, and we're doing too much, and he's pushing and exerting himself, and unpopular opinion, but I don't think like you have to, like, in order to pull like a Freddie Mercury type of energy, right? You have to like, you can't be Mormon. Like, you just can't be Mormon. And Benson Boone is Mormon. You saw those Mormons who, let me pull this up real quickly. I've literally only seen a 12-year-old and younger bump his Yeah, he gives very much so kids bop. Corporate, this is what is socially acceptable. Like, this is what is socially okay. So, Utah Mormons Kesha. So Kesha had a concert and Mormons were watching her, right? And like, this is what this is their reaction to watching Kesha, right? They're like, you didn't do your research before going to a Kesha tour. You know what I mean? And it's just like, you know what I'm trying to say? Like, you can't be Mormon and try to be Freddie Mercury Jr. Freddie Mercury's son. Like, you have to have a bit of like queerness in you, you know, and like a bit of like rebellion. Like, you can't have an album cover like this. Like, you just, you know what I mean? Like, you can't really, like, it's the same with Addison. Like, you don't get to be a TikTok star and then do like this weird girl rebrand. You know, without people being like, okay, so who's on your team? Like, who's telling you to do this? Because you didn't come up with this yourself. There's no way you came up with this yourself. There's no way, right? Like, there's just no way. There's no way you're this weird. You're not, like, you know, like, and maybe she worked at being weird. I do feel like being a weirdo, like an artsy fartsy weirdo, is a what is it? It's a skill. Like, you gotta like pull from different things and understand things. And maybe she's doing that right now. I don't know, but it just doesn't feel as authentic as Midnight Sun, where it's like very random and avant-garde and like pulling from, not like Zara Larsson's like pulling from her culture, you know what I mean? Like, she's Scandinavian, so she's pulling from that sound, and it's so unfortunate. But like, why do y'all keep like hyping up mediocrity and then getting mad when they serve you mediocrity on a platter? When like, realistically, you have Zara Larsson here, you have Chaperone, you have Sabrina Carpenter. Like, you don't have to hype these people up that are literally like, daddy, I want a music career, and then get mad when they give you daddy, I want a music career. Daddy gave me a music career money. Okay. I don't know a lot about Gracie Abrams. I just know that she's Taylor Swift's son. That's all I know. And it kind of shows, but it's like, going back to Beyonce real quick, okay? Y'all got used to mediocrity. You got used to mediocrity. And so when you see someone channeling this, you freak out. You're just like, wait, whoa, wait a minute. Wait, what are we doing? That's too much. That's too much. But then Benson Boone will do a backflip. I haven't seen Benson Boone's backflip. Hold on. I have not seen Benson Boone do a backflip. I don't think I care, right? You'll see Benson Boone do a backflip off of a piano, which is totally he need to slow down. Right? I saw Brendan Urie do the same thing. And you'll be like, hell yeah. He did a backflip. And it's just like, girl, no. And then Beyonce is going toe to toe, bar for bar, band for band with the trumpet player, and you're like, slow down. Chloe is getting passionate about how big her butt is on a Jimmy Fallon show, right? And y'all are just like, no, why? But then Benson Boone does a backflip, and you're like, yeah, while screaming into the mic, and it's just like, why are you hyping this up? Why are you hyping up mediocre talent when you could have Symphony, when you could have Midnight Sun? Why? Like, it doesn't have to be this way. I have some theories. I do think that because with white people in pop, right, like, especially with girls, if they can't see themselves in you or they don't find you relatable, immediately they have to like bring you down a peg. They have to humble you. They have to figure out a way. I think that's why Taylor is so big now, because like she writes her songs in a way that's digestible for like anybody to understand, and like for any girl to put themselves into that position and be like, oh my God, she's so relatable. She's just like me. Right. But those same girls who really hype up Taylor Swift will also like shit on Sabrina Carpenter, because it's like you can't attain what Sabrina Carpenter has. Like you can't obtain this, right? Like you know, and so then you get mad when this happens. You get mad when this happens because you know that you'll net like this face card lethal, talent ability lethal. Like you're not gonna get there. You know what I mean? Right? And it's only a matter of time before like the same girls who don't really rock with Sabrina Carpenter get on Addison Rae's case, and y'all are already like, well, Tate McRae is valid because she did a song with Morgan Wallen, but like Tate and Addison are the same. Like they're probably like low key Trump supporters, so like it's fine. Like it's not fine, but it's just like they do the same thing, right? Cole said also Britney Spears would have had to give him birth to Addison Rae for her to be close to Britney, but I'll still give Addison her things. Although she said she said the N-word, she still remained relevant. Okay, who said the N-word? Yeah, I don't know, Cole. Like Addison Rae is just like it's not clocking for me. It's not clocking for me at all. Like it just doesn't feel original. It doesn't feel like she truly, like I can't explain it. It just feels like there's a force behind her that's like wear a pink wig and ride on this horse and dance around. You know what I mean? Like, do this works. I don't think she came up with that idea herself. Like, people say, like, the weird girl trope that, like, Addison is going for just seems very inauthentic. And I think it's because you're a TikToker. Like, you never had inklings of that when you were doing TikTok. And, like, maybe she gave more of that when she broke away from TikTok and just went to, like, find herself a little bit. But and it's like the vocals are just not good, you know? Like, I do think that Tate McRae is, like, the more talented of the two, but Tate McRae just needs she needs to stop working with Morgan Wallen, right? But she just needs, like, a different sound. She has to stop trying to get into that Britney Spears pocket. I thought Tate McRae was an AI-generated name until I saw she was popular in Canada. Yeah, I didn't know she was really popular in Canada. Okay, that's interesting. Yeah. And apparently Alberta is like very Republican, so her working with Morgan Wallen isn't surprising. I don't know. I say all of that to say, y'all, stop hyping this up if you know it isn't good. And, you know, sometimes not like, I think the reason why people don't like Zara Larsson is sometimes her music is like hit or miss. So I feel like if she got with a really good producer, she can make some really good music. But I also think that like, even if she was to make good music, because she's just too talented, her core audience, which I would imagine would be like white women, right? They'd feel threatened a little bit. Because you're not touching Zara in vocals, in performance, and looks, bodies on Lipton. Okay, like you're just not touching it. Like that's unattainable, right? How long? It won't even take a full like 7 business days before like women will start turning on Zara Larsson and saying that she's like male identified for existing. You know what I mean? I don't know. Anyway, I gotta address a comment that Cole made, and then I'm gonna go to bed because I'm tired and my head hurts and I don't know what's going on. So Cole mentioned that I just saw a tweet saying that in another world, Christina Aguilera would be Beyonce until she joined The Voice. Let's unpack that there. Let's unpack that statement there, because that's a very interesting call out, okay? I thoroughly disagree. Christina Aguilera's magnum opus was Back to Basics. This was the best it was gonna get with Christina Aguilera. Y'all remember Back to Basics? She was doing a lot of good things with Back to Basics. A lot of good original things with this album. The sound was very unique and creative, something we never really heard before, and it just kind of worked for her. And what's interesting is that she was able to stay in this pocket, and nobody was able to really do it in the way that she was able to, right? Like, she was really in her bag. But after Back to Basics, I believe she came out with this album, Bionic Woman. Hold on, let me check. So she came out with Stripped. Okay, so Stripped was an iconic album. Okay, so excuse me. Whoa. Not me being loud and wrong. Okay, so between Back to Basics and Stripped, those were her magnum opuses. Okay, that was like the best it was gonna get for Christina Aguilera. Stripped and Back to Basics. We fell all the way off when Bionic came out. When Bionic came out, we fell off. The reason why Bionic fell off for her is because she was copying it felt like she was copying Lady Gaga. Even though she might have had this in development first, like down to the costumes and the pinup and it felt very Lady Gaga coded. Like even the Madonna, like even when I remember being younger and seeing her do stuff like this, and I was like, okay, what in the Lady Gaga's going on here? This is like super unoriginal. And this might have been like a really good album, but people could not separate the fact that this, like, she's copying Lady Gaga. Like, this is all stuff that Lady Gaga would probably do. Right? Even though it was probably really original and really unique, it just did not feel unique for the time, because you have Lady Gaga over here at the VMA Awards being suspended in the air, bleeding out, making an allegory to how stardom can affect people. You know, like this seems like Kids Bop Lady Gaga, right? And so Christina Aguilera was never going to be where Beyonce is. Like, that just wasn't going to happen. Like, the music was falling off after the Bionic era, and then we had Lotus, which I did like that song. Where she gained some really nice happy weight, and she looked really, really good. I loved the weight that she gained. I thought she was very pretty. But it wasn't, girl, no, like, it just wasn't gonna work out. Like, Beyonce, like, every single album that Beyonce had, like, hit. There was no fall off moment. Even when 4 came out and everybody was worried because it didn't do well in the sales, like, she made up for it in performance. And really, this album is my favorite album. There, like, some of the best hits came from this album for me. So, like, yeah. No. The streets say that the ballads on Bionic was good. I'm pretty sure that we can look back at Bionic now without a Lady Gaga lens and be like, oh, that album was pretty good. And I do think so. But I think timing, like, how are you, like Lady Gaga's out here with the Fame Monster, right? And she's kind of doing like this weird, almost sci-fi, different, original, big, elaborate costume brand, right? And then like Christina Aguilera trickles along with Bionic Woman and is like, has like the platinum blonde wig and has like the fingerless gloves, is doing weird symbols, and people are just like, yeah, no. This is duplicating Lady Gaga a little bit. Like, they weren't willing to give it a chance. So, like, unfortunately, Miss Christina Aguilera fell off after that. Like, she really did. And so the voice was probably inevitable for her. I do like the comeback she has. Like, she looks amazing now, and I like that she's still touring. She did she sang with Sabrina Carpenter. They did a song together, which is cute, but like, I don't know why they had Sabrina Carpenter embarrassed like that. I don't know why they embarrassed her like that, because you knew Christina Aguilera was gonna outsing you, sweetheart. Like, oh my god. Like Ariana Grande and Christina Aguilera I'd like to see, but Sabrina and Christina, girl, no. Girl, bye. Okay, anyway. Okay, so that's it. That's all I got tonight, guys. That is the end of Hey Exes, what's on your mind? Tomorrow we're probably gonna be more gaming heavy. I don't have much else to talk about, really. But I do like this last deck that I came up with. I liked all the things that I talked about, so I think I might do a what's on your mind deck soon if I don't have like a big topic or big drama that is going on that I want to discuss. Okay, with that in mind, I am super duper tired and I am super duper exhausted. We are at the 4-hour mark just about, so I want to say thank you guys so much for coming to my stream today. I really appreciate every single one of you. Shout out to Heaven and Cole. You guys are constantly interacting with me in my top chat. I really appreciate it. Shout out to those who were watching me, I guess, on Twitch, if y'all were. And I will see y'all tomorrow, okay? So take care, my loves. All right, love you all. Bye.